You're watching, yes, the Yankees Entertainment and Sports Network.
Well, last Saturday, Yankee captain Derek Jeter made his spring training debut, and he didn't waste any time. First time up, a solid single to left field, and he's in the lineup once again today. Derek will be batting second, and he will serve as the Yankees' designated hitter. As this afternoon, on the Yes Network, it'll be the Yankees and the St. Louis Cardinals from George M. Steinbrenner Field, presented by Verizon Fios. Hi, everybody. Ken Singleton along with David Cohn. And David, well, the Yankees are moving along towards the opening day on April 1st against the Boston Red Sox in the Bronx. And one thing we're going to see in this upcoming week, Andy Pettitte is going to get a start for the first time this spring. And the same can be said for CC Sabathia. He'll be pitching on Friday here at Steinbrenner Field. But one pitcher who's been out on the mound all along in spring training and done a very good job for the Yankees has been Hiroki Kuroda.
Well, yes, Kuroda just so impressive last year. A solid performer, consistent, taking the ball every 5 days. A variety of pitches. I mean, this guy's a veteran. He proved his worth last year coming to the American League East from the National League West and actually performed better in the East, the tougher East. So what a great sign to bring him back for the Yankees, and just right in the middle of that rotation, very reliable.
Here's our Verizon Fios pitching matchup for the afternoon. For the St. Louis Cardinals, it's going to be Lance Lynn, an 18-game winner last year, an all-star for the St. Louis Cardinals. He'll be on the mound, and he will be facing Hiroki Kuroda, who won 16 games for the Yankees last season. When we come back, one thing we're going to see today, at first base for the first time this spring, Kevin Youkilis gets the start. He won a Gold Glove in 2007 as a member of the Red Sox at first base. Today's game on Yes is brought to you in part by Tri Honda. Hurry to your local Tri Honda dealer for great deals on the 2013 Pilot. And by IMG Academy Youth Sports Camps and Private School. Become more at IMG Academy. Well, the fans are filing into George M. Steinbrenner Field here in Tampa, Florida. And they're getting ready to see the St. Louis Cardinals and the New York Yankees. The Cardinals coming over from Jupiter, Florida on the East Coast and traversing the state and getting ready to take on the Yankees today. And we should have a pretty good crowd. In fact, a lot of Cardinal fans. We see a lot of fans decked out in red this afternoon, as the Cardinals certainly one of the storied franchises in Major League history. That is Mike Aldretti. Mike Matheny, the manager for the Cardinals, has had some back surgery, and he's expected to return to the team on Thursday. So former Yankee Mike Aldretti is on the coaching staff, will be the manager this afternoon for the St. Louis Cardinals. And here's the Cardinals starting lineup presented by Hyundai. At the very top is the speedy center fielder John Jay. David Freese will bat third. That's Matt Carpenter second, followed by David Freese will bat third. Matt Adams, the designated hitter, will clean up. Shane Robinson will be in left field. Jamie Romick will be at first base. Pete Cosma, the shortstop. Justin Christian is in right field. And J.R. Tolles will be doing the catching and batting ninth. Manager Joe Girardi looking on. He saw a good pitching performance yesterday. We'll ask him about that from David Phelps up in Dunedin against the Blue Jays. Here's Hiroki Kuroda.
Obviously, the strength of the Yankees this year will be their pitching, and Kuroda right in the middle of that rotation. And he had a good outing his last outing, just rounding into form. What a rock-solid competitor, and we'll give you the scouting report, as I said, rock solid. I mean, consistent every 5 days. You know what you're going to get from this guy. He's going to keep you in a lot of games. His proven worth, I think, happened last year. Everybody questioned whether he could adjust from the National League West to the American League East, and adjust he did. He was actually better. His numbers were career highs across the board, and Yankees are bust. And this guy has so much value. He could have had 2-year deals elsewhere. He also had a lucrative offer to go back to Japan, and he said, no, I want to come back. I want to pitch for the Yankees, and I'll even take a 1-year deal.
13-5 in his last 24 starts last year with a 2.92 ERA. Let's look at the Yankees on defense. Brett Gardner's in left field. Slade Heathcott is in center. Ichiro Suzuki's in right field. Ronnie Mastillier getting a chance to play third base today. The Yankees want to see what he looks like on the hot corner. Eduardo Nunez at short. Corbin Joseph is at second. Kevin Youkilis at first base for the first time this season. And Chris Stewart, the veteran, he'll be doing the catching for Hiroki Kuroda. John Jay, who is the regular center fielder for the St. Louis Cardinals. They didn't bring many regulars, but Jay is one of them. And good center fielder, 259 on the spring. And he takes the first pitch from Kuroda just outside for ball one. When Jay batted leadoff for the Cardinals last year, he hit .303 when at the top spot of the order. And that pitch is in there for a call strike. Count evens at 1-1. Little bouncer over the mound. Going to be a tough play for Joseph. Behind the bag at second. The throw to first is in time. Not off. Nice off-balance throw to make the play. Let's look at the game time weather conditions brought to you by Toyota. And speaking of weather, well, maybe America's weatherman was on hand. It's Al Roker, who was in a Yankee uniform before the game. Actually took some batting practice, David. Stick to the weather, Al. And here in Tampa, it's 75 degrees. And in the Bronx, 46. So Jay is out 4-3, and that'll bring up Matt Carpenter, the second baseman. In fact, when Al came out of the cage, Derek Jeter said, Al, do you think you're left-handed?
Try it the other way.
Yeah, he didn't hit too many batting right-handed. Here's Matt Carpenter. As I said, the second baseman. He's kind of taken over the job, having a great spring, hitting .370. Daniel Descalso had been the Cardinals' second baseman the last couple of years, but it appears that Carpenter's going to unseat him and become the everyday second baseman. Good fielder, excellent hitter. Little chopper to the right side, and Youkilis has it. Easy play, steps on the bag, and there's 2 outs.
Youkilis looking very comfortable on first base, has a lot of experience over there, and it's one of the things that you loved about this sign. He can go either corner to corner. He'll play third base or first base, and obviously with Teixeira out, Youkilis becomes a real viable option to play some first base.
So 2 down, nobody on, and David Freese, World Series hero a couple of years ago with the Cardinals as they won the World Championship. And he takes one off the glove. It's high for a ball. And it was a couple of years ago when the Cardinals beat the Texas Rangers in a hotly contested World Series. Freese, a native of St. Louis, living a boyhood dream, playing for the Cardinals. That pitch is a strike, and it's 1-1.
They really are a storied franchise, the Cardinals. You know, and when you think about the Yankees and all those championships, well, the number 2 team behind them, St. Louis Cardinals.
There's a breaking ball in for a strike. Freese last year had a career high in home runs with 20. And the same can be said for his runs batted in, 79. And he's an excellent fielder at third base. Swing and a miss on the splitter, and he struck him out. Hiroki Kuroda continues his good pitching this spring. A 1-2-3 top of the first against the Cardinals. We told you there's a lot of Cardinal fans here today, but the same can be said for the Yankee fans. The Yankee fans well represented here at Steinbrenner Field. And we're going to the bottom of the first inning, and we're going to look at the Yankees lineup facing Lance Lynn. At the very top, it's going to be Girardi. He'll be in left field. Derek Jeter serving as the designated hitter once again. This time he'll bat second. Ichiro Suzuki will be in right field. He'll bat third. Kevin Youkilis cleaning up. He's at first base. Eduardo Nunez at short. Chris Stewart will be doing the catching, followed by Corbin Joseph, the second baseman. Ronnie Armastille will be at third base. He'll bat eighth, and batting ninth, and in center field is Slade Heathcock. Derek Jeter, number 2, batting second this afternoon. And here's Lance Lynn. Tony, he's got some good stuff.
Yes, he does. And yeah, great year last year. You see those spring training numbers. This is just his third outing trying to round into form. But he had some kind of year last year, and you may not recognize him because he's taken off some weight. And we'll give you the scouting report. He was an 18-game winner last year, which led to a great first half, and he made the All-Star team. And minus 40, that's what we're saying. Now, if you don't recognize him, he's lost 40 pounds, and he's really looking to establish himself as a mainstay in that rotation. And he's got front-end starter stuff.
Didn't he win 18 games a year ago?
He did. He was an 18-game winner and an All-Star, and he's kind of, he's done some relieving too, back and forth. But I think he's set on trying to establish himself as a bona fide front-end rotation kind of guy.
So that means you lose 40 pounds. If he can add those two more games, it should become a 20-game winner.
There you go.
All right.
He's taking it serious.
Here's Brett Gardner. Speaking of taking it serious, he's reached base in every game he's played in this spring. All 10 of them. And he takes a pitch down low from Lance Lynn. That's ball one. Gardner, of course, missed just about all season last year. Only played in 16 games. And you go back to 2010, 2011, you add those 2 years together, he stole 96 bases, and that's what the Yankees are looking for. Speed near the top of the order. Count as a ball and a strike.
And that speed pays off defensively, too. Widely regarded as one of the best outfielders Gardner is defensively around.
Now back to the screen, and it's a ball and 2 strikes.
Can play left or center. Probably is the best center fielder who's not playing center right now, but he certainly can. A lot of talk about that before Granderson's injury. Now we're not sure if Joe Girardi's going to opt to put him back in left field or center. They have some decisions to make.
Fouls another pitch off. We were talking about Lance Lynn. We'll tell you a little bit about him on the mound. Number 1 pick of the Cardinals back in 2008 out of the University of Mississippi. And in 2009, he was the Cardinals minor league pitcher of the year. He went 11-4 with a 2.29 ERA in the minors. Got good stuff. Pitch is looped foul into the seats. Mid-90s fastball. He also has a good sinker, curve, a sharp slider, and a changeup. So he's got all the weapons out there on the mound. And when you look at the pitching of the St. Louis Cardinals, it's not only Lance Lynn, Adam Wainwright, He's probably their #1 pitcher. They're going to miss Chris Carpenter, who's will be out all year with shoulder problems. That is low, and it's 2-2. Carpenter, widely regarded as the leader of the staff. He's a veteran, but he's going to miss this year. And he's been battling shoulder problems the last couple of years. But even without him, the Cardinals should do just fine in the National League Central. Count is now full. 3 balls and 2 strikes on Gardner.
Yeah, the Cardinals have always had a great farm system and homegrown talent, and they've got some on the way as well. And certainly have some good young arms that are ready to break through. They have good depth in their pitching, and might see a kid play today, Oscar Taveras, who's widely regarded as one of the best outfield prospects in the game.
3-2 pitch, broken bat roller to first base for Romick. He steps on the bag, and Gardner is retired. 1 down. We've seen the first baseman, Jamie Romick. Let's check out the rest of the Cardinals on defense. Shane Robinson's in left field. John Jay in center. Justin Christian's in right field. David Freese at third. Pete Kozma at second. Matt Carpenter Kozma's at short. Matt Carpenter's at second. Romick's at first, and J.R. Tolles is doing the catching for Lance Lynn. Here's Derek Jeter. Derek didn't waste any time on Saturday. His first at bat, leading off the game for the Yankees here at Steinbrenner Field. First pitch he saw, single to left field. And he's taking this one, and it's in there for a call strike. Of course, Jeter coming off a tremendous season a year ago. 316, 216 hits, led the major leagues. That's low. It's a ball and a strike.
Pretty remarkable. Derek Jeter in his 38th year of living, leads the league in hitting. And, obviously that big injury, that foot injury, and moving slow this spring, but says he's going to be ready for opening day.
Ground ball to the right side for Carpenter, who gobbles it up, throws Jeter out, and there are 2 down. Now, supposedly Jeter's going to take to the infield and play shortstop in the upcoming week, so you might want to stay tuned for that. He is 0 for 1 this afternoon in the role of the designated hitter. Batting third for the Yankees is Ichiro Suzuki. So we were trying to figure out the other day how these 3 were going to fit at the top of the order for Joe Girardi, and Ichiro drops down for the 3rd slot in the order. He's having a good spring. The numbers tell you that. Hitting .450, and he slashes 1 foul back to the screen, strike 1.
Sort of interesting, both Kuroda, today's pitcher, and Ichiro wanted to be Yankees. They waited the offseason. They made it clear that this is the place they wanted to play. And you got to wonder, Ichiro maybe revitalized, what kind of numbers he's going to put up this year. And motivated again.
Little chopper foul at home plate. That got a piece of Ichiro. And the count is no balls and 2 strikes. You wonder, with the absence of Granderson and certainly Teixeira out of the lineup for an extended period, what the Yankee offense is going to look like early in the season. And Yankee fans certainly might be dismayed missing 2 big bats. Ichiro lines 1 foul, a solid line drive. But when you think about it, David, the last few years, this has kind of been the Yankee formula. They get off, they start the season, I wouldn't say exactly slowly, but maybe they get to 4 or 5 games over 500. Then when June comes around, then they start to take off when the interleague play kicks in. And that's been the formula the last few years. The Yankees didn't take over first place last year till June the 12th. That's high for a ball, 1-2. And they were either in first or tied for first for the remainder of the season. And their largest deficit, they were 5.5 games behind at one point last year. Ichiro hits one to right field. On the move is the right fielder Christian, and he leaps up against the wall and he can't get it. Ichiro's the second, and he will stop there with a double. Didn't miss a home run by much. Seems like he likes that 3rd spot in the order.
Well, you know that he's looked for more balls to pull, especially in the Yankee Stadium. And you see there's a little cutter up and in, and Ichiro kind of bails and wails. Look at him step in the bucket and turn and roll over that top hand. And we saw him do that in the Bronx last year a few times and get some home runs. And you have to wonder, maybe he tries for that a little more, because he's got that ability to turn. And maybe 15 home runs this year, maybe a little bit more. Who knows with Ichiro? He can do it, though.
So Ichiro at second with the first hit of the ball game, and it brings up Kevin Youkilis, who's batting cleanup today and playing first base. Lynn deals, and Lynn deals a strike. It's 0-1 to Kevin Youkilis. Youkilis 1 for 11, but that kind of belies the fact he's been hitting the ball pretty well. If anybody's been hitting in bad luck, it's been him. Ground ball, foul, and it's no balls and 2 strikes.
I think that was, Brian Cashman, the general manager's thinking in the offseason was, Youkilis and his legendary on-base percentage potential really works counts. Back to the kind of the old grinding style that the Yankees had in the 90s. And, of course, Hafner as well has that reputation of really being able to take their walks and grind out at-bats and get on base.
Youkilis in the hole, no balls and 2 strikes. Call, strike 3. Caught looking. Lance Lynn picks up his first strikeout, leaves Ichiro at second. We've played 1 inning here at Steinbrenner Field. There is no score here in Tampa. Wednesday night, the Yankees take on the Phillies in a prime-time showdown under the bright lights of Steinbrenner Field. Complete coverage on Yes starts at 7 when Michael Kay and Al Leiter have all the action from Tampa only on Yes. Just on your left, there's Raymond James Stadium, home of the Tampa Bay Bucks, who had a promising year under their first-year head coach, Greg Schiano, former coach of Rutgers University. You can see just in close proximity to Steinbrenner Field, just down the road a piece on Dale Mabry Boulevard. Hiroki Kuroda working the top of the second. Looked very sharp in the top of the first. He's facing Matt Adams, who today is serving as the designated hitter. Adams having a good spring. Swing and a miss, and it's a ball and a strike. In fact, these St. Louis Cardinals, several hitters have been red hot. The Cardinals are scoring more than 6.5 runs per game here in spring training. And this is the team that had the second most runs scored in the National League last year. Swing and a miss, strike 2. Only the Milwaukee Brewers scored more runs than the St. Louis Cardinals.
No, and that was after having let Albert Pujols go last year to free agency and the Angels in that big deal.
In the dirt, 2 balls and 2 strikes. I mean, Carlos Beltran came along, and he is currently with the Puerto Rican team in WBC. The same for Yadier Molina, but both of them had big offensive years for the Cardinals last year. Molina had signed a 5-year, $75 million deal and had his best season. This ball is hit on the ground, and it's a foul ball past the diving Kevin Youkilis. Yeah, Molina had a career high 22 home runs and hit .315 as a catcher and won his 5th straight Gold Glove.
Widely considered the best defensive catcher, maybe all around. You know, Buster Posey will have something to say about that. You know, he's a great young catcher as well. But Molina definitely on the defensive side has no peers.
That pitch is high. Counters run full 3-2. In fact, Molina finished 4th in the MVP voting in the National League, and that's the highest for any Cardinal catcher since Tim McCarver finished 2nd in 1967. Pitch is fouled at the plate by Adams. Count remains full at 3-2. People forget Tim McCarver was a pretty good baseball player.
You mean the broadcaster?
Yeah, the Hall of Fame broadcaster. Yeah,
he played.
The payoff pitch is on the way and swung on it. Missed. Strike 3. Kuroda's breaking stuff. Looking just as sharp as it did in his last outing. Picks up his 2nd consecutive strikeout. Well, the bottom fell out of this one.
Yeah, just good signs for Kuroda these first 2 innings. You see that ball, the effectiveness of it is, it looks like it's right down the middle. It wasn't. It's right in the dirt almost over the heart of the plate, and just a great finish pitch.
What do you call it? The illusion of a strike. Here's Shane Robinson, who looked like a slider for a called strike. Robinson, look at those numbers. .519 this spring with 3 home runs, and he's driven in 11 runs. He's making up for lost time. He's missed majority of the last 2 seasons with injury. And one of those injuries was a horrific outfield collision. He broke his cheekbone and a finger. This pitch is lined towards left center field. The good hitting continues. He's rounded first, on his way for second. Robinson's going to turn at second and hold on with a 1-out double. So his late afternoon batting average continues to climb. Having a fantastic spring.
Yeah, when you're hot, you're hot. And I was going to say, kind of looks like Dustin Pedroia a little bit, certainly size-wise.
Yeah.
Kind of surprises me. He's got bat speed, 3 home runs so far, and you see short and quick. Look at him get on top of that, top hand. Easy stand-up double right in the gap.
So Robinson on second for Jamie Romick, the first baseman. Cardinals, we mentioned, didn't bring many of their regulars, but they did bring some players who have just numbers and not names. And Romick is one of them. 10 home runs in the minor leagues last year in 106 games. Robinson's on the move, swing and a miss, a throw to third, and he is safe. A stolen base with 1 out for Shane Robinson, who not only is hitting, but he's showing he can also run.
He can. He gets a good jump. You see, he's got a secondary lead in the swing, so kind of messes up. Stewart's got to step behind to throw after the full swing, and just up the line and high a little bit. Would have had to been a perfect throw to get him.
Yankees bring the infield in. No balls and 2 strikes to count on Romick. Wouldn't chase, and it's 1-2. Here's where Kuroda would like to get a strikeout. Hold that runner at third. Remains a ball and 2 strikes. Romick fouls it back to the screen. 96. They also have a 90, a 91, and a 92.
You know that's a last-minute replacement. There's not even a name on the back. You know?
I mean, you could use a magic marker and put your name on there, can't you? Kuroda working from the stretch. Deals. Nice stop by Chris Stewart. Pitch low and away and in the dirt. The count is 2-2. 92, 90.
Nice job by Stewart.
One thing he's been known for over the years is his ability behind the plate. Speedy Shane Robinson at third with 1 out. The Yankees have the infield in, trying to hold him right there. Wouldn't chase again, and the count has gone full at 3 balls and 2 strikes. Romick showing some decent patience at the plate. Sometimes young hitters let the situation get to them. They know that runner's at third with 1 out. Get a little too anxious. They help the pitchers out. Let's see what happens on this payoff pitch. It's on the way, and it's swung on and missed. Strike 3. Kuroda finally got him. And that is his 3rd strikeout. And now the infield can drop back.
You see Kuroda tried up the ladder. He tried in the dirt. How about a 3-2 slider right there? Excellent pitch. Probably was a ball, but it was too close to take. He just knew that the veteran Kuroda was not going to give in there on a 3-2 count in that situation.
So now the infield can drop back with 2 outs. It brings up the shortstop Pete Kozma. And the first pitch is low, ball 1. Now the other day it was the opposite end of the spectrum for Chris Stewart. It was the youngster Ramirez, Jose Ramirez, on the mound, and he threw a number of 3-2 changeups, and Stewart said I called him to see if he could do it, and he did it. There's a pitch for a strike, and it's 1-1 to Kozma. And I talked to him before the game. He was very impressed with Jose Ramirez. And he was surprised that he never pitched higher than A ball. He said, well, he'll be moving on up the ladder quickly.
And Stewart did a great job for the Yankee pitching staff. He actually had a lower catcher's ERA than Russell Martin last year.
Swing and a miss on a good fastball, and it's a ball at 2 strikes. Kuroda reaching back for a little extra here with a man on third. Here's your 3-2 pitch. I should say 1-2 pitch. And did he go around? No. And it's 2 balls and 2 strikes. Trying to get Kozma to chase a pitch in the dirt. Now Kozma will be playing a lot of shortstop this year. Rafael Furcal, the #1 shortstop, needs Tommy John surgery. It looks like the youngster will get the call. There it is. Call strike 3. Speaking of a call, Kuroda struck out 1 in the first. He strikes out 3 more Cardinals here in the second. Still no score here in Tampa. Yankees coming to bat in the bottom of the second. And the Slim Lynn on the mound. Would you say he lost 40 pounds, Tony?
40, minus 40.
Lance Lynn doing the pitching for the Cardinals. Eduardo Nunez is going to lead it off for the Yankees here in the second. He's at shortstop today, and he'll take the pitch for a call strike. Well, we were talking about the Cardinals and their good pitching. They have a youngster, Trevor Rosenthal, who yesterday hit 100 4 times on the radar gun. Pitch is hit to the right side for Carpenter. And he's going to throw out Nunez, and there's one down here in the second. Speaking of Slim Lynn, let's look at the change in Lance Lynn.
Well, you get the look right there, before and after. And, no, that's not a diet ad commercial right there, but if there was one, he'd be a candidate, because that is 250 on the left and 210 on the right.
Now, supposedly he went to a nutritionist who not only explained, what his diet should be. Nutritionists actually explain to you what food does to you when you eat it. Now, I went to a nutritionist a couple of years ago, and very helpful in helping me maintain a diet here. Healthy food. Here's Chris Stewart, took the first pitch for a strike. That pitch is inside, and it's 1-1.
So coffee and a donut in the morning is probably not the right way to go, Ken?
Nah, you know what? I was never a real big coffee drinker, every once in a while. But the donut, definitely not.
Sinkers.
Sinkers. Line drive down the left field line, curving foul into the Cardinal bullpen. Stewart had a line drive home run here about a week or so ago. It's headed out towards Lake Steinbrenner in left field. That lake beyond the left field wall. Ball is popped, foul, and out of play. One out, nobody on for the Yankees in the second inning.
Sort of last year around this time, that even towards the end of spring training, Chris Stewart was out of options. The Yankees went and made a trade, gave up George Contos and brought Stewart in from Frisco. And next thing you know, he has a really nice backup year. And a year later, maybe he's the starter. So quite a turnaround in a year from last spring to this spring for Chris Stewart.
Curveball misses. Count goes to 2-2. Stewart grew up a Dodger fan near Los Angeles. Mike Piazza was his favorite player. That's high. Count is full. 3-2.
I mean, it was way back to 1996 that the Yankees made a similar move and letting a power hitting catcher go, and Mike Stanley, and bringing in a young defensive catcher named Joe Girardi.
Ground ball to the right side. Carpenter's been busy. He throws on the first. That's his third assist of the afternoon. Second this inning. And it's 2 up and 2 down for the Yankees in the second inning. Look for the name Matt Carpenter all summer long, playing for the St. Louis Cardinals. He's kind of taking that job on his own. Left-handed hitting second baseman.
Yeah, one Carpenter down, one Carpenter up, right?
Yeah. Got to have a Carpenter on your team, putting things together. Here's Corbin Joseph, who's starting at second base. Robbie Cano with the Dominican team in the World Baseball Classic. And congratulations to Tony Pena, who's the manager. They advance to the second round. They're undefeated. In fact, Cano was the MVP of the Pool C. Ground ball to the right side. This time it's the first baseman, Romick. And for Lance Lynn, 3 ground ball outs here in the second. We're advancing to the third inning. We'll be back after a few messages. game tickets for the 2013 season are now on sale at Yankees.com and through Ticketmaster. Get your tickets today to see the Yankees take on the American League, as well as some great interleague matchups, including the Dodgers and the Giants. And don't miss the 67th annual Old Timers Day on Sunday, June 23rd. Purchase tickets, visit Yankees.com or call Ticketmaster at 877-469-9849. Ready for the top of the third. And the first pitch to Justin Christian hits the outside corner for a strike. And joining us is Jack Curry. It's like having an encyclopedia in the booth. Ground ball, I should say line drive foul. Nice play by the ball boy down the line. That's the play of the spring thus far. Count is 0-2. And Jack, you know, we just congratulated the Dominican team for advancing. We should congratulate the American team as Team USA advances in the WBC.
We should congratulate that kid for that catch, too.
Yeah, we should. This ball's hit in the air to left field for Brett Gardner. Should be an easy play. No congratulations there. He makes it, and there's one out.
And Kenny, the thing about the U.S., too, is if they had lost in 2017, the United States would have had to play to qualify for the WBC. Could you imagine how embarrassing that would have been for the tournament that was started here, that is Bud Selig's baby, that the United States would have had to play in some pre-qualifying rounds. So that win was important for a lot of reasons.
Well, they beat Canada, knocked Canada out, and big hits for Adam Jones yesterday. He had a big one. The day before, David Wright with a grand slam of the Mets. Adam Jones with the Orioles. So congratulations to the U.S. team. J.R. Tolles, the catcher, is at the plate. There's one out here. Of course, Jack is here to discuss other things besides the WBC. And how about some of the options that have come up lately for General Manager Brian Cashman? He's making some calls, and some calls you might not expect.
He is, Kenny, and he said that he's trying to be as creative as possible and trying to fill some of these voids that the Yankees have with no Teixeira and no Granderson to start the season. So one of the calls that happened, it was ball off the foot there.
Yeah. Looks like Tolles is going to be limping around, so that gives you plenty of time to get this in, Jack.
Yeah, the call that he made, so he spoke to Derek Lee and spoke to Derek Lee's agent. Now, that's a familiar name to baseball fans, except Lee didn't play last year. He sat out 2012, but if you go back to 2011, he actually had some pretty decent numbers. He had 19 homers and just under 500 plate appearances, splitting his time with the Orioles and the Pirates. Brian said that Derek Lee was intrigued by the call, but I said, how close are you to maybe having him become a Yankee? Is that a reality? Is that a possibility? And he said, he's not on the field right now, and he pointed out to the field. So it sounded like it was something that was still out there, but wasn't a reality, and Cashman didn't want to say for sure if it was something that was going to come to fruition. But then, Kenny, as we're sitting there in the dugout talking to Brian, he drops a bigger bombshell and says that Chipper Jones is a name that he would love to have associated with the Yankees, a player he would love to have associated with the Yankees.
Well, Tolles is going to have to run on that sore leg as he lines a single in the left field, and he's got a little hitch in his getting long as he heads down to first. That should make him feel a lot better, though. First hit of the game for the St. Louis Cardinals. Now, Chipper Jones. I'm interested to hear what David has to say about it. You can see he's got something to say about this.
Well, that's the thing. I mean, you know, it's a nice thought. Of course you think about Chipper Jones, but Chipper Jones probably wouldn't be allowed back in the state of Georgia if he played for the Yankees at this point, considering the farewell tour that he took last year, and probably a preview to what Mariano Rivera is going to go through this year. And every stop you go, there's going to be, you know, accolades and gifts and memories, and that's already been done by Chipper.
Because you have to give all those gifts back, you wonder if he starts playing again. Back to the top of the order, John Jay, who takes a pitch downstairs for a ball.
Kenny, it would be a perfect fit. He could play first base. He could play third base. He could DH. But once you get past saying it was a perfect fit, exactly what David said, I don't think Chipper Jones wants to change his legacy. His legacy is as a Brave. He has already said this spring, I'm done. We did the press conference the other day with Mariano Rivera, and he said, I only have so much left in the tank. That's why I'm playing 2013, and that's it. Chipper Jones has said his tank is empty. Yeah. And in fact, his agent, B.B. Abbott, has already been quoted in multiple places saying, this is a very nice gesture. He has a ton of respect for the Yankees, but he's not going to come back, and he's not going to come back as a Yankee.
Yeah, I remember we played, the Yankees played the Braves in interleague play last year, and walked up to Chipper and he said, that's it. After the season's over, I'm done. And it's something when you go out and hit 287 with 14 home runs. It wasn't like he wasn't productive for the Braves.
377 on base percentage. That jumped out at me as well. .455 slugging percentage, and a guy throughout his career who had a .400 on-base percentage.
Slow roller to the first base side. Youkilis has it, tags Jay, and it's 2 down as Tolles have moved down to second. So Youkilis at first base for the first time this spring. Now he's been there many times in the Red Sox and probably played it for the White Sox a little bit last year.
He talked the other day, Kenny, about that. He said he got some time there with the White Sox last year. He thinks first base, I don't want to say it's a day off, but third base is a much more difficult position. He said at first base you can knock the ball down, you can still make the play. He won a Gold Glove there with the Red Sox in '07. And he has told the Yankees and Joe Girardi, whatever you need to do, wherever you need me to play, I will play, whether it's first base or third base. And showing that he has a sense of humor and is already getting acclimated to New York. When he was asked where does he want to play, he said, you know what, I don't want to create any controversy, but I'd really like to take over at shortstop for Jeter.
Good luck with that. Matt Carpenter's at the plate. He rounded out his first time. He takes a strike from Corona. Runner at second with 2 down. And that pitch is outside for a ball. And one other name came up, a name that everybody would know.
Scott Rowland. Brian Cashman is going through the Rolodex, and again, he said he's being creative. So you want to try and get something where you don't have to give something up. So these are players who, if you could convince them to play and you thought they could help you, you're not going to have to give anything up. Rowland, though, we look at his resume there, Kenny. He's a guy who, reading between the lines of what Cashman said, he's looking for guaranteed money and guaranteed playing time.
Wow.
And whoever the Yankees are pursuing right now, there's a chance Mark Teixeira is back in early May. So you might come and just be a stopgap. I think Rowland's looking for a place where he can go and have a more of a guarantee.
2 balls and 2 strikes now on Carpenter. That's more Chipper Jones, Derek Lee, and Scott Rowland.
You know, the thing is that Scott Rowland of those 3 is probably closest to being ready to play now. You know, who knows how long it would take Derek Lee to get ready to play in a game after having sat out last year.
It might be May. Then you don't need him anymore.
You need somebody right now.
Call, strike 3. Marty Foster with the call, and Corona picks up his 5th strikeout in 3 innings. Fans, don't go anywhere. Jack Curry's not going anywhere. He'll be here for the bottom of the 3rd when we come back. Basketball fans, later tonight, the Nets head to the City of Brotherly Love for a matchup against the young gun Jrue Holiday and the Sixers. Coverage on Yes starts at 6:30 with the Verizon Fios pregame, then Ian Eagle and Jim Spanarkel. Follow all the action from courtside only on Yes. Nets, of course, headed to the playoffs this year. As we get ready for the bottom of the 3rd inning here, and Ronnie Armistilier is going to lead it off. And Jack, he's an interesting story. The Yankees really like this young man.
Yeah, an interesting story emerging in spring training, Kenny. We've talked about all these third base options from outside the organization. He's a third base option, obviously, from within the organization. You see his numbers this spring training. He's 6 for 17. And what Brian Cashman said about him is his bat is giving him a chance. The Yankees are so enamored and intrigued by the way this guy hits that if they could put him at third base and he could catch the balls that are hit to him, they're not expecting Brooks Robinson over there, he becomes an option. And I watched Mick Kelleher working with him today, trying to give him some of the finer points of fielding that position. But that's the position he played most often in Cuba. He defected in 2009, so it's not an unfamiliar spot for him.
Makes his home now in Dominican Republic. During his career in the Yankee minor leagues, he's had 595 at-bats. He's hit .324 with 18 home runs and 96 runs batted in. So he has hit everywhere he's been in the minors.
You would take those numbers prorated in the major leagues regardless of how many at-bats you gave him.
Hot shot, flagged down by Cosma at short, shows off the strong arm, and there's one out. No! Romack drops the ball. There was too much on the throw. He couldn't handle it. E3.
It is a hot shot off of Bastillier's bat, and you're right. Instead of turning the glove over, he kind of gets handcuffed. He almost handcuffed himself a bit there.
His approach to catching that was not Teixeira-like, and there's going to be a man on via the error by the first baseman. And that'll bring up Slade Heathcock, who's batting ninth today and playing center field. This is another young Yankee outfielder with some tools. Strike one call.
You had the chance to talk to him a few times this spring, Kenny, and really ripped up the Arizona Fall League. There were some people, even people from other organizations, who said that Heathcock may have been the best player in the Arizona Fall League. So he has to stay healthy. Injuries have been an issue with him, but he's got speed. The Yankees love his intensity. And Damon Oppenheimer, who is a big part of their scouting and their amateur draft, talked about him as being a guy who maybe you look at him at the end of 2013. Is he a defensive replacement type or a pinch runner type? When you start looking at postseason rosters, is he a guy who could even be a factor as soon as then?
He missed a lot of last year with shoulder surgery. He's not as fast as Brett Gardner, but he's pretty close. I was going to say, who is as fast as Brett Gardner?
I was watching him in batting practice, too. He's got a little bat speed. He's got a chance to hit some home runs. You know, if you project him down the road, he's not a speed-burning guy. You project him to be a 15, 20 home run guy, especially at Yankee Stadium. And certainly he's got the speed to play center or either corner outfield spot.
Yeah, for Yankee fans who want to get a peek at the Yankee future, make some trips to Trenton this year, because the Yankees are going to have some of their better prospects if they're not there to start. But you look at a Heathcock and an Austin will probably be there. Mason Williams will probably get there at some point. So you want to see guys who may eventually be at Yankee Stadium, not too far away from the Bronx, to make that trip south to Trenton.
Jose Ramirez might be there as well, who was impressive on the mound the other day. That pitch is outside, a ball and 2 strikes to Heathcock.
Yeah, I think without a doubt, hands down, the surprise of spring training so far has been Jose Ramirez. And, you know, he has jumped on the radar. 23-year-old.
He's jumped on the radar gun, too.
How often do you have a seasoned major leaguer raving about a kid who's not out of single A? Brett Gardner, to me this morning, unsolicited, said Jose Ramirez is the real deal. He goes, I watched this kid, the velocity he has, the power changeup he has. Gardner was beyond excited about what he's seen out of this kid this year.
So he might be working his way north from Trenton at a rapid clip. Throw of the first, and Mustillier dives back into the bag. Let's take a look at Ramirez from Saturday.
You can see that great arm action on these changeups, and he's able to throw it to righties or lefties, spot it. He's got a mid-90s fastball, and all 4 of those strikeouts were on excellent changeups.
Another toss over the first. This time Mustillier steps back on the bag. He hit that triple the other day. He showed us some decent speed from home to third. Check swing, and that pitch is outside. And now we have a full count. We might be seeing some of the speed here with nobody out. Mustillier might be off and running on a 3-2 pitch.
So I follow Slade Heathcock on Twitter. I'm not sure if you guys do. Every morning he posts the same thing. He writes, "Attack the day." Every day since I started following him on Twitter, that's his message to himself.
Castillo is not going, and the pitch is fouled back, and the count is 3. Attack the day, huh? Let's see what he can do on this 3-2 pitch. Oh, that type of attitude, that's the sort of thing you'd like to see from a youngster. You want to have him have confidence that he can move up the ladder in the Yankee system. Runner goes, pitch is on the way, and it's ball 4. The throw to second is for naught. So Heathcott, who was down on the count, works his way to a 3-2 walk, and the Yankees have 2 on, nobody out here in the bottom of the 3rd inning. That is the first walk handed out by Lance Lynn. You got to figure, guys, that youngsters like Heathcott, getting to see a Major League All-Star pitcher today. You get some confidence that way. You get a hit or two off that type of pitcher. I remember in spring training hitting a home run off Bob Gibson in spring training. And then I got to face him a little later on. It was a different Bob Gibson. He was just getting his work in spring training. He really meant business during the regular season. Back at the top of the order, here's Brett Gardner. 2 on, nobody out. The bunt might be in fashion here for the Yankees. Squares and takes a pitch in there for a called strike.
Yeah, Bob Gibson still hates pitchers to this day, right? He's still got a snarl. And very intimidating man. What a great, great competitor he was.
I remember interviewing Bob Gibson, a St. Louis Cardinal Hall of Famer, and interviewing him about his reputation for hitting batters. And without a smile, he said, "It wasn't my fault that they didn't move fast enough." So then we changed the subject real quick. The 0-1 pitch, and Gardner takes another call strike, and it's 0-2. And he has a little disagreement with home plate umpire Marty Foster.
You see here Gardner is in more of a sacrifice position now, and that ball runs away on the corner. Pretty similar to the pitch that Heathcott walked on. So a little bit of a flip a coin behind home plate. Gardner shaking his head. But we've looked for Gardner to maybe bunt a little more this year for hits, and we've seen it early, and it'll be interesting to see if it carries over.
Pitch is down for a ball. Now with Mustillier, we've seen him at third today for the first time. He's been playing the outfield. We've also seen Juan Rivera at first base, Jack. That is something new for the Yankees.
Yeah, and I think Cashman likes the idea of Rivera at first base. He said before the game that the Yankee scouts believe that Rivera could handle that position. Again, he's not going to be Mark Teixeira in terms of a Gold Glove defensive first baseman, but he's having a good spring offensively, and he might be able to get some reps over there at first.
Pitch is bloop foul. This is going to be a souvenir. Count remains a ball and 2 strikes on Brett Gardner.
You know, Kenny, David brought up the idea of Gardner with bunting. I was talking to him about that this morning. And it's interesting to hear, as good as a bunter as he is, the mental side of it. He said when you see a third baseman 2 steps in on the grass, he still believes if he gets the bunt down in the right spot, and now Freese isn't doing it now with 2 strikes, but if he gets the bunt down, he should be able to beat it out. But he said your mind plays tricks with you because it seems like that third baseman is creeping in closer and closer. So he has to get over that mental hurdle of just believing if he puts the bunt down in the right spot, he can beat it out.
2-2 now on Gardner. Well, the other day when Jack was here, we talked about the fact that we're going to, maybe not true predictions, but our feelings about the upcoming season. And we're going to do that next inning, if that's okay with you, Jack and David. We did that last year, and it went over so well because we were very right on some and very wrong on others. The pitch is fouled off. And I think this is the time of year for your projections, how you feel things might go. Of course, a lot of things can change between March and October. Yankees with 2 on. Nobody out here in the 3rd inning. Their best opportunity against Lance Lynn. There is Derek Lilliquist, the pitching coach for the St. Louis Cardinals. Gardner pops one up. Is there going to be a play? Shane Robinson in fair territory makes the catch, and there's 1 out. So the runners do not advance. Gardner could not get the job done. And we'll bring up Derek Jeter. Nice round of applause for the Yankee captain, who grounded to second his first time up. He's got 2 on and 1 out here in the bottom of the 3rd inning. When we think about the pitchings coming along, Jack, Andy Pettit's going to start this week. CC Sabathia is going to make his initial start of the spring this week. We've got Ivan Nova throwing tomorrow down in Port Charlotte. David Phelps had an excellent outing yesterday against the Toronto Blue Jays up in Dunedin. Pitches inside to Jeter. One guy we haven't seen and maybe will not see for a while is Phil Hughes. How's he coming along?
Through a 26-pitch bullpen session today, Kenny, and he was done. He said he felt great. He said he's moving along at a nice pace. He likes where he is. He probably is going to throw to hitters in BP in a few days. Thursday is probably the target day for that. And then after that, simulated game or into a game. He still thinks that the dates can work out for him to be ready for the season opener. But I look at what you just mentioned. I look at the way Nova and Phelps are pitching. And I think the Yankees are going to say to Phil Hughes, take your time. If you miss one turn in the rotation and you're a pitcher for the Yankees by the 11th or the 12th of April, it's not as if you have to be there on April 1st. I don't think they need a 5th starter if you study the schedule until April 7th. So you could get by with Nova being your 4 guy and giving Hughes a little more time. Now, Phil Hughes, he said, I want to start the season. There's a difference between getting 32 or 33 starts and 31. I'd like to be there for every start. But I think the Yankees have a little flexibility and a little cushion because of what Nova and Phelps have done this spring.
2-1 pitch to Jeter, and he hits a bouncer to second. This could be 2. Carpenter is going to tag the runner and throw on the first, and they will complete the double play. So Derek Jeter grounds into a 4-3 double play. The Yankees are going to leave a man on. We played 3. We're looking for the first run of the game. Top of the 4th inning, I think one thing we have to remember, it is spring training for the umpires as well. Take a look at this double play and what is wrong with this play.
It's the old tag him with the glove and the ball's in the hand.
Yeah, that's not an out.
I used to do that back at Condell-Stick Park in the hot box games. We used to do a wiffle ball in the backyard.
Did you get away with it there too?
Get away with it, but we had arguments about it then too.
Here's David Freese, and he swings at the first pitch and rips it into left field. 3rd hit for the St. Louis Cardinals. For Roki Kuroda, leadoff single here in the 4th inning. Bring up Matt Adams, the cleanup hitter. As promised, we talked about the fact that last year, and we had a a lengthy discussion. We could have gone on the whole game. But last year, I think we all agreed the Kansas City Royals would be better. And in a way they were. But still, not to the point where I think they're going to be even better this year in the Central. They got some pitchers this year.
I think I was a little less excited about the Royals than you guys were last year.
Was, yeah.
Because of the pitching. But you're right. I think you look at what they've done this year. I think they have some arms that they can go to. I still look for an ace. I still look who's going to be the guy at the top of the rotation that's going to guide them. I see some 3s and 4s and 5s in there.
James Shields. Big game James.
He is the one, but after that I wonder, well, I'm not terribly excited about the rest. I mean, Wade Davis I think is a nice pitcher, but I look and see a lot of 3s and 4s and 5s there, other than Shields.
All right. I'm not saying they're going to beat the Detroit Tigers, but I think they'll move up the ladder, getting even closer. You got to admit, their offense looks pretty good. I mean, with Alex Gordon and Mike Moustakas and Eric Hosmer. Alcides Escobar, I think, could be the shortstop, American League All-Star shortstop this year. And Salvador Perez, the catcher, who was out most of last year. Those are some good young players. That pitches a ball, and it's 2 balls and a strike.
I really think Wade Davis is the key. You know, he had a great year as a reliever with the Rays, and he was sort of a starter in waiting. He's going to get his shot now, and as Jack said, what is he going to round into? Is he going to be a front-end guy with that power fastball, or is he going to shape out to a middle end of the rotation guy? And they gave up one of the best prospects in all of baseball to make that trade, and Will Myers now a Tampa Bay Ray. It'll be interesting to see how that one plays out in the future.
Ball is hit in the air to left field for Gardner, who retreats near the warning track, reaches up, makes the catch, and there's 1 out. Now, do you think they have enough to challenge the White Sox and the Tigers, or even the Cleveland Indians, who made some moves over the winter?
I think Kansas City maybe shapes up as a team that could win in the low 80s, and if they really got great contributions from Shields and Davis and the rest of their starting pitchers, maybe you get into the upper 80s. I think the Tigers are still the class of that division. I think the Tigers are a team that can win 90-plus games, but I agree with you. Their offense is better, and David mentioned that trade, and I know there was a lot of back and forth about giving up Will Myers. When you can get 2 pitchers, when you can fulfill 40% of your starting rotation, Will Myers may turn out to be great. But if you're the Kansas City Royals, you've been promising your fans year after year, this is going to be the year, we're going to get better, let's look to the future. They need to tell their fans that maybe 2013 could be the year where they're more than competitive, where they're better than 500.
Well, if Wade Davis does what they think he can do, you're talking about 400 innings from 2 pitchers. James Shields, 5 years in a row, he's thrown 200. So I think he's the leader of your staff. You want to move to the Western Division? We'll save the East for last. The Western Division, I think it's going to be a dogfight out there. I hesitate to pick anybody. Other than, I'm not picking the Houston Astros up.
I would go with the Angels. I think the Angels are the team. I think Oakland had a wonderful season last year, but I still think if you go talent, position by position, I think the Angels are the class of that division. I think Pujols is going to have a better year. I think Trout is maybe the top, 3-5 players in baseball, and he's only going to get better. Love Jared Weaver. I think they're the class of that division.
Ball and 2 strikes on Shane Robinson.
To me, the interesting part about that division is which team can beat up on the Houston Astros the most. Who's going to make hay on that Houston Astros team, switching leagues, very young team, very much in rebuilding mode. Sometimes it's going to come down to that. Still an unbalanced schedule. A lot of games against the Houston Astros in that division, and which team can beat up on them will probably make the difference.
Ground ball slowly hit towards second for Joseph. Turns quickly, goes to short to Nunez for the force, and there's 2 down now.
I actually think Seattle will be much improved this year. I think they made a statement by signing King Felix, ending all the speculation about whether he would ever be traded or not. He's the mainstay, one of the best pitchers in the game. I think they have to score more runs than they did last year. So I think Seattle has a chance to make the most improvement, but certainly the Angels have the best lineup. You put Hamilton and Pujols back-to-back. Boy, that's a murderer's row they've got going on there. It's hard to bet against the Angels in the West.
Subtraction for the Texas Rangers. Hamilton now with the Angels. That's certainly a big loss. Here's Romick, the first baseman, Jamie Romick. And he kicks a pitch in there for a called strike. I agree. Seattle's having a great spring. I think they have the best record in Major League Baseball out in the Cactus League. And maybe we'll save the East for the bottom half of the inning, because varied opinions on what's going on in this very tough Eastern Division. Robinson, good speed at first, and the next pitch is inside for a ball, and it's 1-1.
I got to second David's point about the Astros, though, too, Kenny. It almost gets to a point where you better not go 11-7, or you better not go 12-6. You better be ready. That team is a bunch of young kids, and you wonder if they're going to win 60 games. So if you're in that Western Division, you better feast on the Astros whenever you play them.
1-2 pitch is grounded foul. Here's a question for you guys. The fact that the Astros are in the Western Division, and as you said, the other team's going to have to beat up on them, is that going to make it difficult? I know there's 2 wild cards now. Those 2 wild cards could come from the West, and forget the other divisions. I mean, distinct possibility that Texas Rangers and Oakland can put together 90-win seasons. Pitches low and really drumming up on the Astros. As you think, the Angels are going to win the division. Kuroda with a count of 2-2. There's 2 outs and a runner at first. There's no score here at Steinbrenner Field.
I think one thing we can definitely say is the parity in baseball has never been better. It continues to get better. Influx of television dollars on the West Coast is.
Swing and a miss. Strike 3. Kuroda picks up strikeout number 6. We'll be back with a preview of the Eastern Division in the bottom of the 4th inning. No score here at Steinbrenner Field. Hey, Yankee fans, bring your family, friends, or business associates to Yankee Stadium for a group outing and enjoy Yankee baseball in an individual game suite. Individual game suites can accommodate groups as small as 12 and up to 382 guests with an all-inclusive food and non-alcoholic beverage packages. Make your special occasion legendary. Call 212-YANKEES or log on to yankees.com/suites today. First pitch of the bottom of the 4th is fouled off and out of play by Ichiro Suzuki. No score here in the 4th inning. Let's get to it. Eastern Division. What's going to be the difference? Every team has question marks. Every team has things that are on their plus side for them. Who wants to start? Jack.
I think you want to be healthy. And you see that in spring training already with the Yankees, what they've had to deal with some of the players they've lost. But on the pitching side, the Yankees feel strong about what they're going to be able to do rotation-wise and bullpen-wise. Need to get everybody back, get ready for spring training. When I look at the division as a whole, I remember covering the Yankees for years where every year just pencil in the Yankees and Red Sox, some sort of 1-2 combination. And the Rays became a factor, and you had to make sure that you put the Rays in there in contention too. Last year, the Orioles are in the mix, and you have to make sure you give the Orioles due respect. Now Toronto, with all it did in the offseason, is a big factor. So this is one year when you go into that division, you can argue for any team to finish first, second, or third, or fourth. You might have a team that you think could win 90 games. Suddenly they win 78 and they finish fifth. The one team that I still think has some work to do is the Red Sox. I just think it's hard to climb from 69 wins to the postseason. Can it happen? Yes. They added some different players. Guys like Lester need to bounce back. But I still look, if I had to rank the teams right now, the Red Sox would be the team I'd be putting in last.
I agree with you there because you're right. It's going to take some rebuilding that following year in which they were really down. Ground ball to short. Going to be a tough play for Cosma. Throwing on the run, he gets Ichiro by a step. One down. Nice play by the Cardinals shortstop.
Well, certainly the American League East is going to be highly competitive. Can Baltimore repeat what they did last year? All those one-run games and all those wins. You got to kind of feel like they're due for a fallback a little bit. The Blue Jays, the big moves they've made. I think the key to right in the middle of that big trade is big Josh Johnson. He was the best pitcher in the National League not too long ago, and he's looked good this spring. So he's a bona fide #1 starter if he can be healthy. He's a difference maker for Toronto. I think the Yankees are going to be better than people think. Their pitching is really good, top to bottom. April's a big month for the Yankees. They play a lot of games in April when they're short right now. So April's kind of a really important month for the Yankees. If they can keep their head above water, stay in it, got some good teams, a good schedule. They're going to see the Blue Jays 4 times in April. The Diamondbacks come in, and Red Sox, Orioles. They will see the Astros at the end of the month. So if they can make it to that Astros series, around 500 or not too much in the hole, and then start to think about getting some of these guys back, especially Teixeira, then I think the Yankees could feel pretty good about their position.
Yeah, I think back to last year, and I agree with you, David. At one time, the Yankees got 5.5 games behind. But once they got to first place, they were moving, and they stayed in first place for the remainder of the season. And I'm not as sure this year as I was last year they could do that very same thing. But when guys start to get healthy, the Yankees really over the years haven't really kicked it in until June anyway. But that means that Granderson and Teixeira, when they come back, will have like 2 weeks to a month to really get their acts together and help the offense click. And I agree with you. I think the pitching is good. This ball's hit well. Speaking of good, going back and looking up and not seeing it is Shane Robinson. This one is gone. Speaking of offense, Kevin Youkilis put the Yankees in front by a score of 1-0. A long home run to deep left center field. Youkilis' first home run of the spring. And it's interesting, I was talking to him today behind the cage, and I said, you want to hit at least one in spring training just to prove to yourself you can still do it.
Ooh, nice little slider. Stays on the middle half of the plate, and what that does is just speed your bat up. That allows you to get the bat head out in front of home plate, turn on that ball. That's why those sliders that hang up there go a long way up on the scoreboard.
Nunez takes a big cut and fouls it back. So the Yankees break through first on the scoreboard. Kevin Youkilis' first home run of the spring. Ooh, had that sound, didn't it? That's like music to my ears. I don't know about David.
Halfway up the scoreboard, too. Yeah, when you're a pitcher, you flinch when you hear a sound like that. Yeah. Kind of jolting.
Hitters have sweet dreams. Pitchers have nightmares. 0-2 count to Nunez, and he lines it to third, and David Freese hauls it in. That almost dragged him into the outfield.
Talk about the hot corner. That's the hot corner. Woo. Get the glove up just in time. A lot of white T-shirts in the stands today, too, here in spring training. So you're playing third base with shades on. Boy, you got to get that glove up in a hurry.
That'll bring up Chris Stewart. So the Yankees have hit the ball hard in this inning. A home run followed by a line drive out. Stewart takes a pitch down and away for a ball. So, Jack, any more thoughts on the Eastern Division?
I agree with David's point, too, about April being important for the Yankees. And I see it from a motivational side, too, that if you get through that month, then you know you have big guns coming back in Granderson and Teixeira.
So Stewart pops out to end the inning, but the Yankees get on the board. Kevin Youkilis with a home run, his first of the spring, puts the Yankees out in front 1-0. Want to thank Jack Curry for being with us. As always, Jack is right on the mark, just like this one. 1-0 Yankees. Top of the fifth inning, Jabba Chamberlain's going to take over on the mound for Hiroki Kuroda, who was just excellent. We want to thank Jack Curry, who was with us on our Audi scoreboard. Yankees leading 1-0, courtesy of the home run of Kevin Youkilis. And as always, here in the top of the fifth inning, Yankee manager Joe Girardi is going to join us. And Joe, you saw some good pitching yesterday from David Phelps up in Dunedin. What did you like about his outing first before we get to Kuroda?
I think just the command and his ability to mix all the, his curveball, his cutter, and his changeup in at any time. He really knows how to pitch, and he knows how to read swings, and he changes speeds, and he locates. And, he faced a good lineup yesterday and shut him down.
He's not making your job easier to tell him he's going to have to go to the bullpen.
No, that's a good thing. Don't make my job easier. I like when I got tough decisions.
Well, we know that Kuroda's going to be in the rotation, and last time out, he was very, very good. Did you see any steps forward for him today? Today, he was excellent with 6 strikeouts and 4 innings.
Yeah, I did. Anytime you get a situation of work in spring training where you got a runner on third and less than 2 outs, you can keep him from scoring. I think that's positive. I thought he had a little bit more life on his fastball, and that's positive. So, he's another guy. He really knows how to pitch.
Well, he struck out the side in the second inning. After that runner got to third, he struck out the next 2 hitters, and that's a sign of a veteran. Now, Jabba comes in. What are you looking for from Jabba today?
Command of his fastball and a good breaking ball. And I know Jabba's a guy that's got 4 pitches, and at times he's going to work all 4 of them. But let's just have good command of one breaking ball and good command of his fastball.
Ground ball rolled to the right side. Youkilis on the backhand flips the Jabba covering, and that's PFP at its best.
Well, they get plenty of that. You can ask Goose and Gator. They're there every day hitting them ground balls. It's important. It's an important part of the game.
Well, hey, Joe, obviously Mastelier starting third today. We've seen him swing the bat. He's impressive. Got a great personal story from Cuba.
Yeah.
How much have you seen enough of his footwork at third? Obviously he's in there today, so you're giving him a good look. But what have you seen so far?
Yeah, well, third base is what he played the most in Cuba. So, we want to give him a look to see, because if you can play third base and you can play some outfield, you can give, a club some options. And you're right, he really does swing the bat. And he's having fun, and he's enjoying what he's doing. And he's a real treat to be around. We've really enjoyed, having him around in camp. We're going to see what happens.
When you say see what happens, is he really going to have to knock your socks off, or are you just looking for him to be a semi-stopgap at third?
No, I mean, we're looking at him possibly to be a semi-stopgap until we get Texie back and you can move Uke over there, or, can he play a corner position in the outfield, with us not having Girardi. So there's spots open here, and he's been impressive.
Pitch is fouled back by Justin Christian, who's at the plate. Count is now 2 balls and a strike.
Yeah, Joe, I mean, obviously a lot of talk in the offseason, Russell Martin signing elsewhere. I think the last time the Yankees did that was 1996 when they let Mike Stanley go and bring in a young Chicago Cub, I think, named Girardi to catch. So have you gotten a feel for the catching situation, or still kind of looking at it? I know Stewart obviously starting today. He did a real good job last year.
Yeah, I've been really rotating Stewart and Cervelli, and how we do it, I don't know exactly how we're going to do it in a sense. Is it going to be one guy takes the spot and plays more than the other? Are they going to split time or have certain pitchers? What like Georgie and I did as we got beyond 96. So to me, I'm just going to let it play out. And, if one guy decides that he wants to take it over, that's fine. But if one guy catches 3 guys and one guy catches 2, that's fine, too, with me, because they'll always be fresh and energetic.
Well, Joe, I know you're looking forward to this upcoming week. You've got Andy Pettitte penciled in to make a start, the same for CC Sabathia. So it looks like things are moving in the right direction towards opening day as far as the pitching is concerned.
Yeah, we're really pleased with how it's going. And CC threw the other day, threw a simulated game. I think he threw 48 pitches and said he felt great today. So, I mean, that's so encouraging for me, because last year it was, every day after a start we'd have to check, with the procedure that he had to have. How was he? And he gutted through it sometimes, but it's good to see.
Yeah, speaking of that, were there times where you concerned that he would come to you and say, I just can't do it?
Well, there were times, for a while there I was like, I would go right to Stevie Downey and say, how he's doing today. And Stevie said, he's doing okay. But there were concerns from us that, he might not be able to make his next start or might need an extra day. And we checked every day, but he found a way to toe the rubber.
Ball's hitting the air to center field. On the run is Heathcott. He's going to have to play on the hop. Knocks it down and will hold Tolles at first with a 2-out base hit. Tolles is 2 for 2 this afternoon.
Well, that's kind of a fortunate play. You're lucky that it kind of bounced in front of him, and you got a catcher running who hit a ball off his shin that's probably not moving too well, because that can end up being, in that situation you got to make sure it doesn't turn into a double.
Exactly. Keep the ball in front of you. Keep the runner at first base and not in scoring position. Now the order turns over again for the Cardinals and John Jay. Now, Joe, you played for the Cardinals for a while, didn't you?
I played about 5 games, I think. In spring training, I blew a disc in my upper back, and it was my last year, and I didn't play much until the month of September. So, but it was a treat. I got to be around Tony a lot, and I got reunited with Tino, which was great, and how the Cardinals went about their business. It was a good experience for me, even though I was hurt most of the year.
Well, they have been one of the storied franchises, and they're the Yankees of the National League by winning the most championships. So it's one of these deals where you got to play for 2 storied organizations.
Yeah, I was really fortunate that I got a chance to go over there for 1 year, and being that I grew up a Cub fan, that was kind of strange too, putting on that uniform.
Ground ball. Youkilis has it. He's going to step on the bag. That's going to do it for the Cardinals here in the top of the 5th. We want to thank Yankee manager Joe Girardi once again for being our guest here in the 5th inning. Yankees lead 1-0. Thanks, Joe.
Thanks, guys.
Let's get ready to go to the bottom 5th inning. A Stan Musial fan, of course, the Hall of Famer, St. Louis Cardinals, many years, passed away on January 19th at the age of 92. And, well, he earned the nickname Stan the Man, and he was one of the prolific hitters in all of baseball during his time, in the 40s and 50s and early 60s with the St. Louis Cardinals. 22 Major League seasons, all with St. Louis, 3-time MVP. 24 times he made the National League All-Star team, 7-time batting champion, 3-time world champion, 3,630 hits, and 1,951 runs batted in. Holds just about every single St. Louis Cardinal hitting record. 725 doubles, 475 home runs. Stan the Man. And he got that nickname, Stan the Man, from the Brooklyn Dodger fans, because during the course of a doubleheader, I think he had 7 or 8 hits, and towards the latter stages of the second game, the fans were saying, "Here comes that man again," and it was Stan the Man Musial. Randy Choate's the new pitcher. The former Yankee deals inside. Now he's from Denora, Pennsylvania. Stan the Man was, as Ken Griffey Jr. and Sr. On our Audi scoreboard, 1-0, the Yankees lead. Fouled off the bat of Corbin Joseph.
You know, it's one of those interesting debates in all of baseball. Who was the greatest player ever? And, you know, nowadays there's a lot of data and a lot of sabermetrics guys that go out and break down numbers from the past. A lot of people feel like Stan the Man Musial was the best player in the history of the game. Certainly belongs in that debate. Maybe this side of Babe Ruth. It's hard to argue about Babe Ruth, but besides Babe Ruth, it might be Stan the Man Musial.
Ball is lined towards center field, and laying out and making the catch is John Jay. Showing off his speed to rob Joseph of a hit. There's the defensive play of the game. So John Jay showing off his fielding prowess in center.
Well, Kenny, you called it earlier. He's an excellent center fielder, and he's got to break to the hand side. So he's got to dive and turn it over. And a left-handed player, obviously, this is a more difficult play because he's got to backhand this ball. And lays out and makes a nice play and got a good quick read on it, too.
Pitch to Ranier Mastillier is outside. Mastillier reached on an error his first time. One thing about Stan Musial, we mentioned he had 3,630 hits, split right down the middle, home and away. 1,815 at home in St. Louis and 1,815 on the road. So he was a threat everywhere. One ball and one strike. Stan the Man. Now the reason why he made 24 All-Star teams, and he only played, what, 22 seasons? Because some years they had 2 All-Star games. Had pitches in there for a strike back in the day when they were trying to raise more money for the Players Association, before the big TV deals came in. Ball and 2 strikes on Mastillier. Curveball, had a good swing and fouled it back. Doesn't get cheated. Count remains, ball and 2 strikes. That one kind of hung a bit. Those are the kind as a hitter, can I get another one just like that one?
See Randy Choate on the mound, the former Yankee.
Yeah.
I kind of like seeing those guys that were actually my teammates still playing. You know, it makes me feel like I'm not too far removed yet, but loved Randy. He was a great teammate with the Yankees early in his career. And look, all these years later, he's the big move in the offseason for the Cardinals, a 3-year, $7.5 million deal.
Grounded towards third, the short, I should say. Oh, what a play by Cosma, throwing out Mastillier for out number 2. Off balance throw across the body, and he makes the play.
Well, that's the thing. You know, that's what the Cardinals loved about Cosma last year, is that he's got some range and he can play the position, and he shows it there. This is the prototypical play to judge a shortstop, deep in the hole, on the move. Easily makes that throw.
Yeah, when you can't make those plays, shortstops turn into second baseman. Slade Heathcott at the plate. Randy Choate liked you so much as a teammate, David. He has your number.
There you go, number 36.
Yeah.
Worked for me. But, you know, that's sort of the moral of the story, and we mentioned this the other day. There's two things in baseball that really are sort of untapped resources. One are sidewinding left-hander pitchers, relievers. Can be so valuable. For some reason, all those years, it was always right-handers that threw submarine or sidearm. Now we're seeing more lefties trying it. Randy Choate has made a great career by doing that. Started out kind of a hard thrower in the minor leagues. He started to drop his arm down, became a sidearm lefty, and now look at him. He's got a 3-year, $7.5 million deal.
And a lot of times you're only facing one man a game. You come in to face that tough left-handed batter in the middle of an inning.
And we're starting to see more and more left-handers try this style, and you see that straight sidearm.
The Yankees, of course, with Clay Rapata, and to maybe not quite that extent, pitches popped up. It's quickly going to be a 1-3 inning. Boone Logan also throws somewhat in that style. So 1-2-3 for Randy Choate. It's on to the 6th inning. Yankees lead 1-0. Before we get to the top of the 6th, let's check out the Mazda upcoming schedule. And as you can see, the Yankees have some games coming up this week. Wednesday night against the Philadelphia Phillies, right here at Steinbrenner Field. Then on Friday and Saturday, Miami Marlins come into town, followed by the Phillies once again. And then a little further down the road, you've got the Boston Red Sox and the Minnesota Twins on yes. And finally, on the 24th, the Tampa Bay Rays. Just sailing along here in spring training. Yankees up 1-0 here in the top of the 6th inning against the St. Louis Cardinals. New pitcher for the Yankees is going to be David Robertson. It's a good thing to see Robbie back on the mound. First pitch is downstairs to Matt Carpenter. Ball 1. A little concerned. He had a little bit of a shoulder issue. He said he slept on it wrong, and if it was regular season he could have pitched. But the Yankees, of course, being very careful, held him out. That pitch is upstairs. Ball 2. 2 balls and no strikes. You ever slept wrong on your shoulder, or you couldn't quite make it?
It's usually a neck. I see a lot of that in spring training, and players moving around different hotel rooms throughout the regular season. Certainly can show up with the old crank in the neck, or stiff neck or sore back. But it can happen. It's just a good sign, as you said, that he's out here today. It wasn't that serious, and what a setup guy this guy's been over the last couple of years for the Yankees. Just a strikeout machine, and just really gives a whole different look to that Yankee bullpen late in the game.
Pitch misses inside. The count goes to 3 balls and a strike. Matt Carpenter, the second baseman, is 0 for 2. Bloops one into center field. Heathcote on the run, will not get it. It's going to drop in. So Carpenter has his first hit. Leadoff single here in the 6th inning. Now, you mentioned Robertson, a strikeout machine, as he gets ready to face David Freese. 262 and 2/3 major league innings, 351 strikeouts.
Just off the charts type strikeout stuff.
That's a strike to Freese, who's 1 for 2. Struck out his first time against Hiroki Kuroda, then had a single off the Yankee veteran right-hander in the 4th inning. Yankee infield at double play depth. Strike 2. There's something about Robertson's delivery that it seems you get all those strikeouts. It's not only that it's the power. I mean, he rarely touches mid-90s. It must be some sort of deception there where it's hard to pick the ball up.
He does. He has late life on his fastball. You know, he's really learned from Mariano Rivera, too. He's been down in that bullpen with the great Mariano Rivera. And you see this nice, easy delivery, but the long stride, really power delivery. One of the longest strides in all of baseball, and I think that sort of equates to releasing the ball closer to home plate. And a good finish out of the hand and a little life, a little cut action at home plate.
Ball is hit well to right center. On the move is Ichiro Suzuki. He's there, makes the catch. Having to retreat quickly is Matt Carpenter. He's back to first, and there's one out.
Ichiro, good jump. Very comfortable in right field, obviously, all the years of playing in right field in Seattle.
Flag that one down with ease. It's going to bring up Matt Adams, the cleanup hitter and designated hitter. One thing about David Robertson, now you notice how Mariano, when he sets, he kind of taps that left foot to get himself. Well, I've been watching Robertson, and he sort of has the same move. And his setup is very similar to Mariano's on the mound. The pitch is in there for a strike.
Yeah, there's no doubt that David Robertson has been in Mariano's hip pocket for the last few years. He sets up the same way, sort of closed, works from the stretch position. Very wide arc with his arm. He really reaches towards home plate and releases the ball very close.
Runner goes. So to second is a little high, and it's a stolen base for Carpenter. Pitch was a strike to Adams. Cardinals have a very prolific offense. Not only do they have power, they've got some good speed as well, sprinkled throughout their lineup.
Excellent jump. Really no chance there.
One out. Carpenter at second. 0-2 on Adams at the plate. Swing and a miss. Strike 3. Chased the pitch in the dirt. 7th time that a Cardinal has gone out on strikes today. First strikeout for David Robertson. 2 down.
And he's got a good one of these too, and I think we're going to see him use more of it as he gets into this year, because it's a real downer, a true curveball that Robertson's always possessed, and you know he's kind of kept that weapon in his hip pocket, and when he breaks it out, it's very effective.
Speaking of hip pocket, Carpenter's going to have to get a new hip pocket. He rips out his pants on that slide into second on the stolen base. Here's Shane Robinson. Robinson has doubled and reached on a fielder's choice, facing David Robertson. A little low for a ball. Take a look at the setups of both Mariano Rivera and David Robertson. Very similar.
See, closed position so they can stay closed longer, and look at the strides. Robertson way out there.
Ball 2 balls and no strikes. Yankees leading 1-0. Kevin Youkilis with a home run in the bottom of the 4th inning. A long home run to left center field, about halfway up the scoreboard.
You know, I've always believed, Kenny, that when you drive off that back leg and you stride out there further, you can release the ball just a little bit closer to home plate. which makes a 91-mile-an-hour fastball seem a little quicker. And, you know, especially with the life and the movement that a David Robertson has. But I think he's probably got one of the longest strides in the big leagues, especially for a right-handed pitcher. The longer you can hold onto that ball, the longer you can stay closed with your front hip, the more deception you're going to have.
3 balls and a strike. Now, Robertson has listed at 5'11", 195. But the way he releases it, he's releasing the ball as if he's 6'2" or 6'3".
He really drives with his lower half. And, you know, sometimes that's why they say some of the taller guys that are above 6'6" or 6'8", you know, have a harder time containing their mechanics and controlling their stride.
Ground ball towards the hole on the backhand. Knocked down by Nunez. Comes up with it and throws the man out. Off the glove into the bare hand. And he throws out Shane Robertson. And that'll do it. The Cardinals do not score in the 6th inning. We've played 5.5. Little pinball, but the play is made. 1-0 Yankees. Jay Carlissimo sits down with Michael Kay for a new GMC Presents Center Stage. The sideline general discusses his long coaching career from Seton Hall and the Dream Team to his storied years in the NBA. It's a new Center Stage next Monday at 10:30 only on Yes. Oh, nothing like a day at the beach. Here's Brett Gardner. And this pitch is inside for a ball. New pitcher for the St. Louis Cardinals is Seth Manis. And he's been in a couple of games this spring. Giving up a couple hits, 4 strikeouts though. His pitch is fouled off. 1-1. In the on-deck circle is Travis Hafner. So Derek Jeter's had a couple of at-bats, grounded out twice. Once into a double play. And he'll give away to Travis Hafner, who's on deck. Another ball, 2 balls and a strike to Gardner.
That's what the Yankees would love from Gardner. What they really missed last year is working at bats.
Ground ball and through into right field for a base hit. Gardner has now reached safely in all 11 games that he has played in this spring.
That's what they're counting on from Gardner, to get on base. Just to be a high on base percentage guy this year, get some deep at bats, get some bunt singles when you have to, and then steal some bases when you do get the chance.
During his career, he's had an 82% success rate stealing bases. If you get somewhere over 70, you know, 75 is really good. 3 out of 4 is good. 70, that's passing. Your manager will still send you. You get below 70, you're probably not going to get the green light all the time. Pitches inside to Hafner for ball 1. 2 for 12 this spring, 1 run batted in. But look at the on-base percentage. He's drawn his share of walks this spring. And that's something Hafner's always been able to do. Now, we were talking about the inquiry by general manager Brian Cashman about Chipper Jones' possibility of him signing with the Yankees. And Jack Curry, who's all over it like he usually is, and he communicated with B.B. Abbott, who is Chipper Jones' agent. And Jack says that Mr. Abbott said that Chipper is very flattered by the Yankees' interest in him, and he has the utmost respect for the organization. But Chipper's legacy is with and always will be with the Atlanta Braves. 19 years in a Braves uniform. Pitches inside to Hafner, and the count is now 3 balls and no strikes. So it doesn't sound like Chipper Jones is going to give up that fishing or golf anytime soon.
Well, that's classic Chipper. He's a class act. That's why he was so well liked in Atlanta all those years. And that's the right answer. I'm flattered, thank you, but I'm an Atlanta Brave.
3-0 pitch after taking all the way. That's a call strike. I remember what Chipper told me last year in Atlanta when the Yankees were there in interleague play. He said, "This is it. I got 4 boys at home, and it's time." So now they've got their own basketball team. Gardner just got back ahead of the quick tag of Romack. It looked like he was going.
Did you see a quick snap throw, and he kind of got caught flat-footed. And the difference here? A right-handed fielding first baseman. Yep. If a left-handed glove was right on the bag, he can wait longer for the ball to travel further, and he would have been out. And they don't underestimate the fact that left-handed first basemen have an advantage on this particular play.
They tried it again. The ball breaks away, but not far enough for Gardner to advance.
The ball travels faster than the glove. In other words, if you've got a left-handed first baseman, his glove can be right on the bag and wait for the ball to get to the bag, as opposed to a right-handed first baseman who's got to reach out there 2 or 3 feet.
Got to catch it and then swipe. Gardner's running. The 3-1 pitch hit on the ground, threw it to right field for a base hit. Gardner turns at second. He's on his way to third, and the Yankees have runners at first and third with nobody out here in the 6th inning. Well, good pitch for him to be in motion, and Hafner makes it all work.
Absolutely. With the hole on the right side and Brett Gardner on the move, it's going to be an easy first or third for Gardner. And Hafner very smart, using the hole. And Gardner can cruise into third base.
I don't think there was ever a time where I could cruise on the bases. Ichiro takes a pitch inside for a ball. Yankees threatening here in the 6th. Have runners on the corners with nobody out. Ichiro's had a good spring. He's 1 for 2 today with a double. 455, but he's looking for his first RBI of the spring. This could be that opportunity. Chop foul at the plate. The count is a ball and a strike.
Well, it's going to have to be the difference for the Yankees. A lot of talk about the injuries. What kind of offense are they going to have this year? We know the pitching staff's going to be probably the strength of the team. The veteran rotation, the bullpen looks good, but they're going to have to run the bases. They're going to have to find ways not only to save runs because of the lack of home runs they're probably going to hit this year, but they're going to have to do it defensively too. Brett Gardner's back. He's going to save runs in the outfield. Ichiro should save runs in right field. But the first and thirds, the running the bases, that's going to have to be the difference, especially early in the year in April, as we said, with Granderson and Teixeira out.
And I think the Yankees are going to have to turn it up quite a few notches with runners in scoring position, something they didn't do last year. That pitch is outside for a ball. 2 balls and 2 strikes. I mean, situational hitting is going to be very critical. If you don't have that one swing of the bat type offense that you're used to having, you're going to have to come through with the sacrifice flies, hitting a ground ball, moving runners over. That sort of thing is going to be of the utmost importance for the Yankees this year. There's call strike 3. A good pitch from Seth Manis. Catches Ichiro looking. Maybe a little English creeped out right there.
Yeah, that's Ichiro's way of saying he didn't like the call. He'll just stand there for a while, but a really close pitch, kind of tails off the plate just a bit. Manis has got a quick little short arm action, kind of tough to pick up.
Still runners on the corners, but now there's one out for Kevin Youkilis, who is the difference in this ball game. A long home run in the 4th inning has the Yankees up 1-0. Drives one foul, and it's strike 1. Youkilis' best year with the Red Sox was 2008. Hit .312, 29 home runs, 115 runs batted in. He's a career .283 hitter. So he's used to hitting in clutch situations. That's outside. It's a ball and a strike. He's also always had a pretty good batting eye.
It's a great batting eye. He's he's notorious for high on base percentages, working counts, getting walks. It certainly was the idea that Brian Cashman had in mind, both with Youkilis and Hafner, was getting those types of players in the lineup.
Ball is popped foul and out of play. There'll be no play for Tolles. Let's go back to the 4th, David.
Yes, and he definitely got all of this one on a hanging slider from Lance Lynn. You can see the reaction from Lynn the minute he threw it, and that went halfway up the scoreboard.
Just missed it. I want your reaction to Lynn's reaction. Do you feel it when when it leaves your hand that this is not my best pitch?
You start to worry. Your eyes get big, like the hitter's eyes sometimes get big. But that was a funny reaction by Lance Lynn. I mean, the ball right off the bat, you could almost see him.
Drilled foul by Youkilis. Still 2-2. Yeah, when the ball was hit, he knew it probably wasn't coming back. But my point is that when you release the ball, you can feel like, no, this isn't good.
It's kind of like hitting a golf ball fat. You know, the ball feels like it comes out of your hand a little fat, and then maybe whether it's a slider or a fastball, but mainly on off-speed pitches, you can kind of feel that that's a lazy spin. That's not going to be good.
Foul back by Youkilis. Count remains 2-2.
A lot of times that happens. Same in golf. You get your body out in front, or you hang back. Something's not right in your timing, and the golf club hits the ground before the ball. Sometimes it's that same feeling on the mound where you're trying to throw a slider and it just comes out fat, and it's not going to have that tight spin, and if it sits up over the middle of the plate like that one did, there's a good chance it's going to go a long way.
2-2 to count on Youkilis. Lines another one off foul. He's putting on a representative at bat here in an RBI situation. Yeah, during batting practice, the Yankees have a game. In their last round, you get one swing. But it's a situation. A runner on third and one out. That's what the situation is. Pitch is foul, back and out of play. And if you hit the ball, which is deemed by Kevin Long, the hitting coach, as being a run producer, you get to stay in. And you add up points along the way. And today, I think the winner was Derek Jeter with 10 points in his last round.
Well, the Yankees, they have a lot of fun during batting practice.
Oh, yeah. Makes it interesting. This ball's going to get the job done. Fly ball to right field. Situational hitting. Gardner tags at third. He's going to score easily. And the Yankees are up 2-0. Kevin Youkilis has driven in both runs. Once with a home run and once with a sacrifice fly now. And you can hear the Utes pouring out of the stands in appreciation. Yankees up 2-0. That was a well-earned sacrifice fly. So now 2 outs, a runner at first, and Eduardo Nunez comes to the plate, and he is 0 for 2. He's grounded out, and he has lined out. He hit a BB at third baseman David Freese for the second out of the 4th inning. Hit hard. 2 hard hit balls off the bat of Nunez and nothing to show for it. He lines out to second to end the sixth. But the Yankees pick up a run. At the end of six, they lead it 2-0. A Tri-State Ford scoreboard, the Yankees leading 2-0. We're going to the top of the seventh inning. And the K-by-K, Kuroda was excellent today, David.
Well, he was extremely sharp with splitters down on the left-handed batters diving, and then the slider as well. Both his secondary pitches really working well. When he got in trouble and men on base, he made great pitches. Hiroki Kuroda, just as solid as you'd want to see today. Ready, really rounded into form for the regular season.
4 innings, no runs, 3 hits, 6 strikeouts, didn't walk a batter. And if the score stays the way it is, he'll be the winning pitcher. And just a little while ago, Jack Curry had a chance to talk to Hiroki Kuroda through his interpreter, and here's what he had to say.
Thanks very much, Kenny. Here with Hiroki Kuroda. And Hiroki, 4 scoreless innings, 6 strikeouts. How satisfied were you with the way you pitched?
まあそうですね、変化球がだいぶ今日は良かったんで、まあ三振も多く取れましたし、まあ良かったと思います。
I was able to pitch my breaking balls and get strikeouts, so I think it went well.
You said inside when you were talking to the other reporters that the slider is the pitch that takes a little time to come along. Where is it right now for you?
ここにたどり着くまで今どの段階ですか？
まあスライダーに関してはもう少し時間をかけたいなとは思ってます。はい
I want to take more time to work on my sliders, so it may take more time.
Is it just repetition and throwing the pitch?
球数を投げるっていうことがその重要ってことなんです。
まあそれとあとは実戦でね、どんどん長いイニングを投げて、まあ自分の感覚を、まあいい時の感覚を取り戻していきたいなと思ってます。
Yes, plus pitch in a game situation, so I could get that feel of it, and that will come soon.
Besides getting the feel for the slider and increasing your pitch count, what are the other things you need to do before you're ready for the season?
まあやりたいことはたくさんありますし、まあシーズンに入っても状態がいい時は続かないんで、悪い時にどれだけピッチングをね、うまく組み立てていくかっていうのが大事だと思います。
There are a lot of things that I want to work on, but you know, I'm not going to be 100% every time. So to see how I could pitch in a situation where I don't have 100%, that will be crucial.
Hiroki Kuroda is going to keep on working. David, Kenny, back to you guys.
Thank you very much, Jack. I don't know how he could have been much better today if he's still working to improve even more. So far, here in the 7th inning, new pitcher for the Yankees is Dellin Betances. He's in, and he's gotten the first 2 Cardinals out, a pop-up and a ground out. And, David, I think he falls into the category of those taller pitchers you were talking about, maybe harder to get their rhythm. And Betances went backwards somewhat last year, particularly with his control.
Yeah, he did. Although he finished the year a lot better than he started the year. Obviously got the stuff. It's all about mechanics. It's all about command with him. Certainly has been a top prospect for the Yankees for a while, and kind of figuring out maybe now what his role is going to be. Is he going to be a starter, or are they going to gear him more for a short guy? It's really up to him and his command, but he's still got very good talent.
Ground ball by him, and nice stop by Corbin Joseph. The throw to first is wide. Luke Merton can't come up with it. It's going to go as an infield single.
I really love what Kuroda had to say at the end of his interview there. I mean, a veteran guy. He said, I really want to see when I don't have my best stuff, how I pitch in that situation. To me, which is really the key, is you see a nice backhand here, and to get up and just couldn't quite get the handle on it to make the throw.
So the Cardinals have a man on with 2 outs here in the 7th. And it'll bring up J.R. Tolles, a catcher who today has had himself a good day. He's 2 for 2. Cardinals have 6 hits in the game. First pitch is low and away for a ball. Yeah, Betances definitely has his stuff. He's got a fastball and get it up there in the mid 90s plus at times. And we're talking about that he's wearing number 6'8", 68. He is 6'8". That's low. Ball 2. 2 balls and no strikes.
Just sometimes, it takes a while. The taller guys that are 6'8", there's more moving parts. Your stride is a little more complicated. You've got to really narrow your leg kick and really try to break down your mechanics to get the ball in the strike zone. And once he figures that out, he's going to make a lot of progress.
Pitch is fouled at the plate. I think the classic example of that, David, is Randy Johnson.
Randy Johnson had trouble doing it.
The Expos actually gave up on him and traded him to the Seattle Mariners.
Well, you can see he almost jumps towards home plate. That is a long stride. You see, he uses his lower half very well. He kind of gets caught out where he has to get up and over his front leg a little bit by collapsing that back leg maybe a little too quick.
There's a pitch for a strike. It levels the count at 2-2.
If you're going to use that lower half, you've got to kind of stand tall first and drive downhill. And I think one of the problems with Betances is trying to figure out that lower half, synchronizing his back leg with that long stride.
Ball is hit in the air to left field, hit pretty well. Left fielder is Matt Diaz, and he will make the catch. And that is going to be it for the Cardinals here in the top of the 7th. Before we get to the 7th inning stretch and the bottom half of the 7th inning, we're going to stay right here and listen to God Bless America.
Fighting around the globe to preserve our freedom. And please direct your attention to the Yankees dugout and welcome Sergeant Victor Little of the United States Air Force, assigned to the Special Operations Command at McNill Air Force Base. Let's have a warm round of applause for Sergeant Little and all the brave men and women all over the world for their sacrifices for our country. Thank you. And now, ladies and gentlemen, please remain standing and remove your caps and join in Kate Smith's rendition of God Bless America.
Well, time for the game summary brought to you by Delta. As we look at what has happened here this afternoon. Yankees 2 runs, 4 hits, no errors. Cardinals, they have no runs, 6 hits and an error. Youkilis, a solo home run and a sacrifice fly has driven in both runs as Chris Stewart leading off here in the 7th. Singles for the Yankees in the center field. He's now 1 for 3 on the afternoon. Kuroda, excellent outing. 6 strikeouts in 4 innings, 3 hits, no runs. Didn't walk anybody. And Lance Lynn is going to be a big part of the Cardinals rotation this year. 2 hits, a run, a walk, and a strikeout in his 4 innings of work. And that's our Delta game summary. The Yankees leading by a score of 2-0. On the Tri-State Ford scoreboard, there it is, 2-0 Yankees. Corbin Joseph at the plate, and he's taking all the way, and it's in there for a called strike. We mentioned Joseph getting a chance to play some second base with Robinson Cano away playing for the Dominican Republic World Baseball Classic team. And Joseph, of course, it must be rooting for them to do well. The Dominican Republic has advanced to Miami in the semifinals. Led by Robinson Cano, who was the MVP of the Pool C play. Robbie hit a home run the other day. Swinging a hot bat. Not only did they advance, the U.S. team advanced as well. We'll catch you up on the Cardinal changes defensively if this ball is rolled foul. The new left fielder is Patrick McElroy. James Ramsey's in center. Ryan Johnson, I believe, is at shortstop. Colton Wong is at second. Patrick Wisdom is at third base. That's a smart move. And Argy Perez is now catching. So those are the defensive changes. Joseph spoils that one.
I think the halfway point in spring training is coming a little earlier this year because of the WBC. Spring training starting a little bit earlier this year. But the Yankees, I think just with 16 spring training games left, they will finish up in West Point against the Black Knights. Going to make a trip to West Point and Military Academy.
The ball is drilled down the first baseline. This is going to trace Stewart to third, and hustling back to first, thinking about a double, was Corbin Joseph, but he hustles back to first with a single. So for the second straight inning, the Yankees get it started with back-to-back base hits and runners on the corners with nobody out.
Well, we've seen Joseph get some good swings, and of course down and in right there, drop the head of the bat, keep it fair. You see down and in, something about that pitch for left-handers. It's easy to get to. The only question is if it stays fair, and it does, right over the bag. Got a little kick out on the fence that kept him at first base. Otherwise, it would have been a double and an RBI.
So a quick visit from Derek Lilliquist, the pitching coach. And it gives Ronnie Amastillier a chance to drive in a run. The Cardinals are going to play the middle infield midway. So they're going to go either way. A slowly hit ball, they'll probably come home with it. A hard hit ball, they might go for 2. There's a breaking ball for a strike, and it's 1-1. Manis allowed a run last inning on a couple of hits and a sacrifice fly. In trouble again here in the 7th. Hop, skip, and a jump by Chris Stewart on the foul ball.
Well, you can really see Mastillier has got some bat speed. You know, I mean, that's obviously what everybody's talked about was his bat, and if they can find a position, if he can play third. But there's no doubt the quickness through the zone.
Swing and a miss, and he has struck out. So Manis following the script of last inning. Gave up the back-to-back hits, then struck out the next hitter.
It's a good pitch, a curveball in the dirt right down the middle of the home plate. So you're going to get a lot of swings and misses with that pitch. If you could drop your curveball almost on top of home plate or right behind it, it looks like it's right down the middle, and it's so effective to get hitters to chase balls in the dirt.
Slade Heathcott with a chance. He's walked and popped up, and he takes a pitch for a call strike. Yankees trying to add to a 2-0 lead here in the 7th inning. Heathcott looking for his first RBI of the spring. Outside changeup, and it's a ball and a strike. Here's how you open the eyes of a manager and coaching staff. Wild swing and a miss on a pitch out of the strike zone. Right now we're going to kick it downstairs to Jack Curry, who's live with Kevin Youkilis. Jack.
Thanks a lot, Kenny. Now, Kevin, whether it's March, May, or September, when you see a slider like the one that you got and it's hanging, how appealing is that as a hitter?
Well, yeah, sometimes it's a reaction, and sometimes you see those and you try to do too much. And for me, it was just a reactionary thing, and it felt good just to, get a ball to, jump off the bat and get out of here one time, because you want just one in spring training, just to have the feel of it and around the bases. So it was good, but there's still a lot of work to do. I'm working on a lot of things and just trying to have good at bats. And my last at bat too, I felt good, just fouling off pitches and then finally getting the ball into the outfield and getting the run across. So I know it's March 11th, and there's about 3 weeks or a little less than that. So it's all about just getting the timing and just working hard every day of getting consistency.
Now, it's one pitch, it's one at bat, but does that ability to see that slider, recognize it, and do with it what you did, does that tell you anything about the progress you're making in spring training?
Yeah, I think, well, for me, I'm looking at my hand position and my timing and trying to lessen my stride and doing little things like that. So, a big thing I've been trying to do is just try to do too much, probably over the past 2 years, and trying to force myself to, get hits rather than having good at bats. And I'm just trying to, calm myself down and get ready early and just do little things that when I can get in the right hitting position, it'll allow me to have more consistency over the long haul.
Now, you signed here to play third base, but because of the Teixeira injury, Joe Girardi has also been moving you over to first. You've said no worries, first base, third base. Is going back to first base just like getting on a bike? I mean, you've won a Gold Glove there and everything.
Yeah, it's great, and especially like today, the ball will find you real quick. So I think I had more weird plays in between plays, so it was good. But that's what you want when you get your first game over there. You don't want to just go out there and just basically field throws from the guys across the diamond. You want to get those balls, and you want to get the tough ones. And I went to my right and probably went a little too far and should have covered the base and let Corbin get the ball. But that's part of it, getting back over there and those little things. So, either way, I'm here to be a Yankee and play every day. And when my name's in that lineup, I'm gonna, wherever they put me, I'm gonna play.
And then lastly, you mentioned about 3 weeks before the season opener. In your own mind, your own checklist, what are some of the things you still want to be able to say, okay, I got that done, I'm ready for the season?
For me, it's just like I said, it's my timing and just the confidence levels. You gotta be confident every day when you come in, and that's what I told myself today. Is like, I've been focused so much on this and that and mechanics. It's like, you know what? Just go up there and be confident. Act like you're a big leaguer and act like you're a guy that's played a high level when you're on deck and timing up the pitcher. And then when you get in the box, you got to act like you've been there and you can, that you got to honestly say that no one can get me out. And that's the attitude you got to have. And you're going to get out, of course, but that's the attitude, and that's something I try to do today.
And sometimes you got to act like you hit a home run or you just hit the home run. Kenny, back to you.
Thank you very much, Jack. Thanks to Kevin Youkilis. By the way, the year he won the Gold Glove at first base as a member of the Boston Red Sox, 1,080 chances at first base without an error. So he played a perfect season at first base for the Red Sox that year. Bases are loaded for the Yankees here in the 7th inning. And Matt Diaz will get his first at bat. The Yankees trying to break this one open, and he swings and fouls it off. Strike one. He's right. As a veteran, you're working on your timing. Just feel good physically, and then trying to get your act together at the plate. There's the runners on the bases for the Yankees. You had Stewart at third, Joseph at second, and Heathcott at first. Diaz takes a pitch for a call strike, and it's 0-2. Yankees had the runners on the corners with nobody out, a strikeout, then a walk. And here's where we stand. Look out, he is hit by a pitch, and that's going to drive in a run. So Stewart will trot home from third. The bases will remain loaded. Give Diaz an RBI. Maybe got it the hard way, but he was hit by a pitch.
You can see this is a slider that just slips out of his hand. You can tell by the reaction. It's supposed to break, and it just backs up into the backside, and that'll be an RBI.
Acting manager Mike Aldretti will come to the mound, and usually that's not a good thing for a pitcher. Manager or acting manager. He acts like a manager, takes the ball away. The Cardinals are going to the bullpen. It's 3-0 Yankees. Have launched Yankees Ticket Exchange, the official resale marketplace of the Yankees and Yankees.com. It's a safe, secure, and convenient way for fans to buy and resell Yankee tickets. For more information, visit Yankees.com/ticket exchange. New pitcher for the St. Louis Cardinals going to come into a tough situation. Bases loaded and 1 out. Victor Marte takes over for Seth Manis. So far this spring, Marte has appeared in 4 games. And in 3 1/3 innings, he's given up 6 hits, struck out a couple, and he's been knocked around a little bit. Opponent's hitting .353 against him. He's going to come in and face Travis Hafner with the bases loaded and 1 out. Hafner's had 1 at bat. He got things going for the Yankees last inning following a leadoff single by Brett Gardner. Hafner chased him to third with a base hit of his own. But now an RBI situation. Curveball is in for a call strike.
One of the keys that Hafner's always done his whole career. He's never afraid to hit with 2 strikes. He's up there looking for a good ball to drive. If he doesn't see it, he'll take it.
Fastball is driven, but foul towards the Yankee bullpen. That's what he came up there looking for. He got it. It was a little too quick. Is that Mike Harkey who got the ball or has a ball? So right now in this at bat, Marte's in the driver's seat. No balls and 2 strikes on Travis Hafner. The Yankees have scored and lead 3-0 here in the 7th. Good stop by the catcher, Audrey Perez. Cardinals also have Patrick McElroy in left now, James Ramsey in center, Colton Wong at second, Ryan Johnson at short, Patrick Wisdom is at third.
See, there's the split finger grip that Marte features, and the reason he'll start like that is because that's a harder grip to get. So when you go into the glove, it's easier to switch to a fastball grip if needed. There it is again, and it misses.
After takes, and it's 2-2.
That's what Hafner does so well. That's a pretty good pitch over the heart of the plate and in the dirt, and Hafner just spits on it. With the bases loaded, that's 2 straight splitters from Marte to Hafner. Let's see what he goes to here. He takes one more shot with the splitter, or if he's going to try to maybe switch and sneak a fastball by Hafner.
Splitter again, and he got him foul tip into the glove of Perez, and that's a strikeout for Marte. So now there are 2 out. The bases remain loaded.
And a good one, too. I'm not sure if this wasn't a slider. Looks like it could have been a splitter. It's almost like a hook to it, though. Got a little right to left movement on that particular one, and that was a dandy. As Hafner read fastball and got fooled.
Here's Zoilo Almonte, who took over for Ichiro. Ichiro was 1 for 3 while he was in there with a double. Now Almonte takes a call strike. So Marte trying to throw some water on the fire here. Get the Cardinals out of a problem in the 7th inning. Came in with the bases loaded and 1 out. Promptly picked up a strikeout. Strike 2 over the outside corner. 2 nasty pitches in a row.
Yeah, that was just perfect location with some hair on it, too. You could hear the glove pop way up here.
Splitter in the dirt. Perez tested, makes the stop. Cardinals have a load of hard throwing pitchers in their organization. Seems like everybody comes in and they're sitting around 94, 95. Chopper foul.
You can see Marte definitely a 3-pitch pitcher. You know, we saw the split finger grip that he starts with. We saw the fastball with a little bit of life on it, but he's also got that slider. A slurvy looking slider, as you see Derek Lilliquist, the pitching coach there, keeping track of the pitches. But he's got 3 pitches to work with, and I think that was a slider that he got Hafner with.
Another pitch in the dirt, 2-2. You know, David, one thing I've always admired about the Cardinals, and they kind of fall into the same category as the Yankees, classic uniforms. I mean, the 2 birds there perched on the bat with Cardinals underneath, the St. Louis, the SL on the cap. It's been that way for years. In the dirt once again, and now the count has gone full at 3-2. This will give the runners a running start. 3-2 with 2 outs. Joseph at third, Heathcott at second, and Diaz at first.
Another good at bat by a young Yankee. Heathcott had one to work a walk in this inning. Now Almonte really battling.
There go the runners. The payoff pitch, and it's ball 4, and the Yankees have another run. So they've scored a run on a hit batter with the bases loaded, and now a bases loaded walk. It's now 4-0 Yankees. Give Almonte a run batted in. So still no contact with Marte in the game, but a strikeout and a walk produces a run. Here's Luke Merton, who took over at first base for Kevin Youkilis. Fastball's hit high in the air to center field. James Ramsey is there. He makes the catch. That's going to do it for the Yankees here in the 7th, but they pick up 2 more runs. And at the end of 7 innings, it's 4-0 Yankees.
Yeah, we're going to try to give you the team scout report here, brought to you by Tri Honda. And for the Cardinals, it's been a quiet offseason. We noted that their big offseason sign was Randy Choate, 3 years, $7.5 million. But that the reason is they've got a great farm system, including a kid named Oscar Taveras, who's the next best thing. And of course, Red October. It's between them and the Cincinnati Reds. You know it's going to be a battle between those two teams that feature the color red, and it's probably going to work out to right down to the wire again. The Cardinals always seem to find a way to be there.
Ball off the bat of Ramsey is popped up. And it's going to be the new third baseman, Jose Perilla, who makes the catch for out number 1. They're going to take a look at the Yankees all the way around. You have Diaz in center, Diaz in left, Flores now in center field. We mentioned Almonte is in right. Perilla is at third, Maruzek at short. Joseph and Merton round out the right side of the infield, and the new catcher is J.R. Murphy.
I mentioned the Cardinals' top prospect, Oscar Taveras. He's here today on the bench. Kind of hoping to get a look at him, Kenny, but he, according to Fangraphs.com, is the number 2 prospect in all of baseball, right behind Jurickson Profar from the Texas Rangers. And he's an outfielder. He's got some power. He's got some speed, and just a matter of time before he breaks through.
He was a Texas League Player of the Year last year, which is the equivalent of the MVP. Hit over 20 home runs, hit over 300, and drove in 90-something runs. Betances deals outside, and it's 2 balls and a strike on Colton Wong. Betances into his second inning of work, gave up a hit and nothing else in the 7th. Outside, and it's 3 balls and a strike. Young man from New York City. Grounded to the right side. Nice Sunday hop for Corbin Joseph. Throws him out, and that's out number 2. 2 up and 2 down. This copyrighted telecast is presented by the authority of the New York Yankees. It may not be reproduced or retransmitted in any form, and the accounts and descriptions of this game may not be disseminated without the express written consent of the New York Yankees. So 2 up and 2 down for the Cardinals here in the 8th. Joe Girardi sees his team out in front by a score of 4-0. And here's Patrick Wisdom. And Wisdom fouls one back.
We mentioned that the manager, Mike Matheny, for the Cardinals is having back surgery. Yeah. So Mike Aldretti is taking over today of the managerial duties. Was a teammate of mine with the Mets and had a walk-off home run one time. And it was the best headline the next day. It was "Enough Aldretti." That was his claim to fame. He's still got that. I talked to him before the game. He still got that headline. I don't know if it was the Daily News or the Post. I think it was the Post. The next day it was "Enough Aldretti."
You know what? There are professionals who write those headlines.
That was one of the good ones. And he had a big night with the Mets that night.
Swing and a miss, strike 2. It's sort of like our scouting reports. We try and make them short and sweet and to the point. Enough Aldretti. Yeah. 1 ball and 2 strikes. A walk-off homer, was it?
A walk-off home run. That's it.
Mike also played for the Montreal Expos for a while when I was up there broadcasting their games. Look out! Wisdom hit by a pitch. Couldn't get out of the way quickly enough. So he's at first. And that'll bring up Matt Adams.
Well, you can kind of see, this is off speed. This is a slider. And when you're a right-handed pitcher and you hit a right-handed batter in the middle of the back with a slider, something was a little off with your mechanics there. You flew open. You were a little out of balance.
First pitch to Adams, catches the corner for a called strike.
But almost looks to me like Betances looks a little better from the stretch position. There's a lot of moving parts with his windup. But a lot of times with that case, as we saw last postseason with Tim Lincecum, just going to the stretch can simplify things for you.
Ground ball towards short for Maruzak, who's going to straighten up and throw across the diamond to Merton. That's going to do it for the Cardinals here in their half of the 8th inning. 7.5 have been completed at Steinbrenner Field. The Yankees up 4-0. Tonight, the Yankees take on the Phillies in a primetime showdown under the bright lights of Steinbrenner Field. Complete coverage on Yes starts at 7 when Michael Kay and Al Leiter have all the action right here from Tampa on Yes. Yankees half of the 8th inning. New pitcher for the St. Louis Cardinals is Eric Fornataro, and he'll be doing the pitching. He pitched last year in the Texas League, made 57 appearances. So far this spring, he's made 4 appearances. Done pretty well for himself. He'll be facing Addison Maruzak, who'll be getting his first at bat. Eduardo Nunez was 0 for 3 with a couple of lineouts. A couple of runs batted in for Maruzak to go along with a 167 batting average this spring. There's a call strike, and it's 0-2.
Yeah, I really think this kid's an interesting kid. You know, he's a local product. So we say grew up in Palm Harbor, Florida, has really paid his dues, but he is a super utility guy. He's got every kind of glove in his bag. He had a decent year last year, actually. Had some good numbers. He's really moved his way up through the system. I find that kind of interesting. A guy who's really being groomed to be that super utility guy. And, well, you never know. That could be your ticket to the big leagues. Can play anywhere, outfield, infield, catch.
It's interesting you mentioned being groomed to be a utility player because, well, years ago on the pitching side of the ledger, you became a reliever when they figured out you couldn't be a starter. Now they groom relievers right out of the minor leagues. Ball is hit in the air to right field. Coming on is the right fielder, and he will make a catch for out number 1. That is Justin Christian, who is still in the ball game in right. So 1 down for the Yankees, and J.R. Murphy, who's now doing the catching in place of Chris Stewart, will come in. Stewart had a base hit and a run scored last inning. Murphy is known as a solid defensive catcher. Swings and foul tips it into the glove of Perez, and it's strike 1. Yankee pitching has been outstanding this afternoon. They have kept the Cardinals off the scoreboard. Inside for a ball, 1-1. The Yankees have also done a pretty good job of hitting with runners in scoring position. Situational hitting today.
Really some good at-bats, too, by some young players. Yeah. Both Heathcott and Almonte had excellent at-bats, working walks with the bases loaded.
Ball's hit in the air and hit pretty well. Christian on the run, drifting back. He's there and makes a catch for out number 2. So Justin Christian with 2 putouts here in the 8th inning. And Corbin Joseph will try and keep the inning going for the Yankees. Joseph had a single and a run scored last inning. He's 1 for 3.
Another young player with a good at-bat. And, of course, Brett Gardner extends his streak of getting on base and making things happen.
Yeah, Gardner has a hit and a run scored today. He's since given way to Matt Diaz in left field. Chopper foul off the bat of Joseph. It was interesting watching Joseph take batting practice today. Kevin Long, the hitting coach, was behind the cage where he's usually positioned. And every time Joseph hit a ball well, particularly to the opposite field, Kevin Long would say, "Way to go, Corby. Way to go. Way to go. That's the way to go. Hit the ball hard back through the middle. Opposite field. Don't get too pull happy." Part of being a coach, whether it's pitching coach or hitting coach, it's part of its psychology. You know, trying to convince your players that they can get the job done, especially the younger ones. Here's a pitch for a strike, and it's 1-2. Yeah, the veterans, they know what they can do. And they know themselves as hitters or as pitchers, what works and what doesn't work. It's the younger ones that are trying to feel their way through the minor leagues up to the big leagues. Here's the pitch, and it's in the dirt. Curveball spins low, and it's 2-2.
Well, that no doubt is what the big league coaches are looking for. Kevin Long, Joe Girardi, when you're evaluating a young hitter, is how long is he willing to hang in there? How long is he willing to let the pitch get a little deeper and recognize the spin on the pitch? And that's when you start to develop a little plate discipline.
Good swing, fouled back to the screen. Count remains 2 balls and 2 strikes.
There's sort of a presence in the batter's box that young hitters can develop along the way. It's the same on the mound, sort of the presence that we saw with Jose Ramirez the other day of attack mode, easily throwing strikes, getting to good counts. It's the same thing with a hitter. Do you have the confidence to hit with 2 strikes? Do you have the confidence to wait?
Ball is lined into left field for a base hit. Excellent at bat for Corbin Joseph, who has his 2nd hit of the game. He's now 2 for 4. That's exactly what Kevin Long was talking about. Hit the ball the other way. Every time he did it during batting practice, that's the way to go. And that was the way to go in this situation. So he's on with 2 outs. Well, we just got word from the truck that the Yankees have signed Ben Francisco to a minor league deal, and he will compete for an outfield spot. So he should be at camp any day now. Veteran outfielder. Here's Jose Pirela, who took over for Ronnie Mastillier. Two outs, a runner at first. High chopper to the left side. The shortstop has it. Johnson's throw is in time, and that'll do it for the Yankees in the 8th. They pick up a hit, nothing else against the Cardinals, but it's on to the 9th inning. The Yankees can shut them down. They will put this one in the win column. Later tonight, the Nets head to the City of Brotherly Love for a matchup against young gun Jrue Holiday and the Sixers. Coverage on Yes starts at 6:30 with the Verizon Fios pregame. Then Ian Eagle and Jim Smonarco follow with all the action from courtside, only on Yes. For all you hoopsters out there. Sean Kelly is the new pitcher for the New York Yankees. Yankees leading 4-0. We're in the top half of the 9th inning. Patrick McElroy is the hitter for the Cardinals. It's his first at bat, and he fouls one out of play. Sean Kelly pitched here the other day, and he featured a nasty slider. Yankees got him from Seattle. Grounded. Good stop by Joseph. Spins and throws. Have yourself an afternoon. The play of the game is brought to you by Jeep. We're going to take a look at it right now, and we'll go back to the 4th inning.
Kevin Youkilis looking for his first home run of the spring. Lance Lynn's reaction tells you that he's going to cooperate. And that ball is mashed well up on the scoreboard.
So, you know, Mick Kelleher, he's the one who works with the infielders. Corbin Joseph has had himself a day. 2 hits, a run scored, nice play going to his left. Young man's got to be pretty happy with his afternoon. First baseman Womack is at the plate. Jamie Womack. Romack is 0 for 3. Has struck out twice and popped out to second. Has not gotten the ball out of the infield. Yeah, there'll be days like that when you're a hitter. Popped up. Still hasn't gotten out of the infield. Who's going to make the play here? It's going to be the shortstop Maruzak drifting back and makes the catch. And now the Cardinals are down to their last out. Ryan Jackson, the shortstop, will come up. And this will be his first at bat. Cardinals have will play tomorrow, I believe, against the Braves. So they're not going to be. They're going halfway across the state. Yep, they're going to face Julio Teheran of the Braves tomorrow. Jake Westbrook are going to pitch for the Cardinals. And then they got an open date. And then they'll play back at Jupiter against the Braves again. 1-1. The count fouled off the mask of Murphy, and the count is 1-2. So the Cardinals now down to their last strike.
Yeah, that's quite a road trip. You know, you come across the state, at least in this spring training. And, you know, we've seen so many changes in spring training. Teams trying to group up together either in Phoenix in the Arizona area or certainly reshaping on the Florida side as well.
1-2 pitch is on the way. It's high and inside. A little chin music. Look out. 2-2. I think in Arizona, the longest ride now is 40 minutes. That's not the case here in Florida. You got a few hours on the bus. Get to know your teammates a lot better. 2-2 pitch, and it is called strike 3. And there's your ball game. Sean Kelly picks up the strikeout to end the game, and the Cardinals have been shut out this afternoon. The Yankees, with some excellent pitching, win the ball game by a score of 4-0 as they shut down the Cardinals offense. The Cardinals, as we told you, been scoring more than 6 runs per game in spring training, and coming into the day had scored 99 runs, the most runs in Florida this spring. Here's the big scoreboard, tells you the story. Yankees 4 runs, 7 hits, no errors. For the Cardinals, 0 runs, 6 hits, they made 1 error. The winner, Hiroki Kuroda, who pitched very well for the Yankees. Lance Lynn, the starter for the Cardinals, takes the loss. Kuroda with 6 strikeouts, 4 innings, 3 hits, no runs, and no walks. Kevin Youkilis had a good day. 1 for 2, a solo home run, 2 runs batted in. Yankees win it by a score of 4-0. That will do it from here at George M. Steinbrenner Field. Today's game produced by Troy Benjamin. Senior Director Michael Cooney. Our Senior Vice President of Operations, Ed Delaney. Our Supervising Producer is Woody Fryman. And the Executive Producer is Mr. John J. Filippelli. Join us again Wednesday for Yankees baseball as the Bombers take on the Philadelphia Phillies at George M. Steinbrenner Field. Coverage begins at 7 p.m. on the Yes Network. The Yankees win it 4-0. For David Cohn and Jack Curry, I'm Ken Singleton saying so long from Tampa.